facing a potential new serious wave. So they're very worried about the peak that's about to happen and therefore more cases in hospital while hospitals are already full, which is why this timing might be just right to actually coincide with this next wave which we're just about to go through.
The World Health Organization has reported 2 new deaths from monkeypox, bringing the total number of fatalities to 3 since the start of this year. All 3 deaths have been reported in the continent of Africa, where the virus was initially spreading. The report also says monkeypox cases have been reported in 9 new countries and territories since the previous update in June. It comes as a 6th case was reported in Victoria today. Former Australian polo captain Andrew Williams has pleaded guilty to charges arising from the deaths of 16 ponies on the Spirit of Tasmania in 2018. Megan Oliver reports.
After a polo event at Barnbougle in Tasmania's north, 16 ponies died sometime between boarding the Spirit of Tasmania in Devonport and arriving in Yarra Glen, an hour north of Melbourne. Andrew Williams, who was driving the truck on board the ferry, pleaded guilty in the Burnie Magistrates Court to transporting the ponies in a trailer that put them at risk of suffocation. He also pleaded guilty to 16 counts of failing to ensure the horses were individually stalled. Williams is yet to be sentenced. TT Line maintained its not guilty plea and will take part in a hearing next month.
2 men have been taken into custody as homicide squad detectives continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding the death of a man in St Albans overnight. Emergency services were called just before midnight and found an injured man on a nature strip. The 49-year-old St Albans man died at the scene. A 33-year-old St Albans man and a 26-year-old Sydenham man are assisting investigators with their inquiries. Police believe the parties involved were known to each other. The Victorian government says the state's economy will get an $80 million boost by the addition of a second daily flight between Melbourne and Doha. The Minister for Industry Support and Recovery, Ben Carroll, says the service will begin in October and will benefit local tourism and primary exporters.
It's $80 billion in economic activity that has been forecast. We're also expecting 250,000 passengers coming to Victoria every year. Then you've got the exports of our dairy and meat going to Qatar. So it is an investment in Victoria's future.
A town on the New South Wales mid-north coast has seen its highest daily rainfall record in over 140 years after severe weather lashed the region. Taree Airport received more than 300 millimetres of rain in the 24 hours to 9 a.m. today. Morgan Pumper from the Bureau of Meteorology says this is the town's highest daily total since the 1880s.
That was for rainfall of up to 305 millimetres at Taree Airport. And now, with that amount of rain, that dates back to 1881, which includes the town gorges data as well.
In sport, Australia is considering a surprise recall for Glenn Maxwell for the second cricket test against Sri Lanka, with the final spot in the 11 set to come down to a call between the Victorian and Mitchell Starc. Pat Cummins says the Australians will wait until tomorrow morning to decide, but has confirmed Maxwell is being considered as a spinning all-rounder to bat at 8 in Galle. There's a strong wind warning in place for all Victorian waters, a chance of morning fog and frost tomorrow, expecting a top of 14 degrees. Now 11, ABC News.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
Woohoo! The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
AFL.
Runs into the 50, steps on the right foot, scores a level.
This is awesome. What a moment to be here.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Kicks from 45, starts right, but it's coming back. It's a miracle at the Adelaide Oval.
ain't seen nothing like.
Akers hard up against the boundary in the right.
Oh, that's one of the goals of the season.
That is incredible.
Buddy Franklin steps forward now. He's done it. A legend joins the Immortals.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
Now from 55 goes bang. Oh, he kicked it. He has kicked it. Welcome to the big time. He can be a game breaker, this kid.
And he'll kick the goal. It's what he does best.
Silvani 2-on-1.
Silvani! What a mark in the goal square.
We're gonna be kids.
Throws up from 55. An unbelievable finish. Shuts it down. The big man sorts it out midair. This would be absolutely extraordinary.
He is all class.
Bolton runs toward the boundary to kick a miraculous goal.
He can't believe it.
Gives it everything he's got. It's going, it's going, it's there.
The superstar on the left. He's got a third. Brilliant.
Do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kids.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
Bells to Vanderbilt. Sweeping hand pass to the forward. Shut the door.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It's a clash which played such a pivotal part in the 2021 season and ultimately Melbourne's premiership drought being broken. First, it was the Max Gawn goal after the siren to finish the minor premiers, and then an 83-point prelim final shellacking on the path to premiership success. Finally, in 2022, the two sides meet in a blockbuster Thursday night clash to kick off round 17 of the AFL. It's Geelong and Melbourne on Grandstand AFL. Hello, welcome to Kardinia Park. Matt Clinch with you for ABC Sport. It's the final of our Thursday night fixtures for the home and away season, and what a cracking contest we've got in store. Are the Demons still the dominant force in season 2022, or can Geelong close the gap and emerge once more as a genuine premiership threat? It's a cool night down at the Cattery, and Isaac Smith is celebrating his 250th game, and Melbourne are celebrating a milestone in their membership department with over 65 members signed up off the back of their premiership success. There's no late changes for either side, so the medical subs, Quinton Narkle for the Cats and Jaden Hunt for the Demons. Melbourne have made their way out onto Kardinia Park. The Cats are only a few moments away. Andrew Mays to call the action alongside me. Maisie, the fireworks are going off. We must be in store for something special.
If it's anything like last year down here, there was a few less fireworks because there wasn't any crowd, but it was one of the most remarkable games of footy you'll ever see, with Max Gawn, of course, kicking the winning goal after the siren. Easily forgotten too, a couple of years before that, it was Zach Tilley who kicked the winning goal after the siren as well. So a rich history down here between these two teams. Hopefully we'll get another close one tonight.
So hopefully the haze from the fireworks will make way as we try and see the Cats make their way out onto Kardinia Park through the smoke. We've got a couple of Australian Football Hall of Fame members with us tonight. Mick Moldhouse, of course, part of our Friday night team. Mick, welcome. Great to have your company.
Thanks, Matt, Andrew, Berkey, and the listeners. I left yesterday to get here. It took a day to get over the West Coast, and then I was going to ring you to say I was going to be late coming through Geelong, so I thought I'll never get through here, but finally arrived, thanks to Nad. She sent me off early. Looking forward to it. Off air we spoke about how many players were out of these sides. Not many, and you could probably go into a final series knowing that you're going to lose one or two. So they're on full display tonight. There should be little, if any, excuses for their performances. Stewart makes a massive difference, I'm going to say that, but you've got to be able to cover a player like that, and the Cats have in the past. So I'm looking forward to the game.
Both captains return. Max Gawn is back. Joel Selwood is back. So Demons with their full complement of bigs, with Luke Jackson also returning, and Sam De Koning, who's had such a great season for the Cats in defence. Nathan Burke, welcome to you. Always great to have your company on a Thursday night. 1 versus 2. What more could you ask to try and shape the back end of the season?
Yes, hello, gentlemen. I must say I was down here last Saturday night with Maisie, and the trip down was a fair bit more anticipation than Geelong North Melbourne last weekend. There wasn't a great deal of anticipation for that one, and it didn't live up to any form of anticipation. But tonight, first and second, what better thing to come and commentate on. But the Cats, I've seen them the last 2 weeks. They were very good against Richmond, didn't really have to be good last week to beat North Melbourne, but they were very good against Richmond. And what I loved is a bit of a new style of play that we didn't see from them last year, and we wanted the Cats to be a bit more attacking and take the game on. And when they do that, they look a very, very good side. And from what I've seen of Melbourne, the only way to beat Melbourne is to attack them, is to take them on. If you try and play keepings off, they'll cut you apart. So let's hope that the Cats are brave Cats tonight.
So Mick and Berkey, when you put your coach's hat on, would Chris Scott make any reference to recent history? It hasn't been a great couple of games for the Cats, beaten by Max Gawn after the siren to Melbourne claim the minor premiership, and then that prelim final, which might have left a few scars, and maybe the Geelong coaching staff to sort of reevaluate how they wanted to play their footy this season if they wanted to be a genuine threat.
I wouldn't have thought, you don't really refer back a lot, but what you do say is if you are incapable of beating a side for any particular reason, then it's discussed pre-season to say, righto, we know we're a very good side, and quite often when you have a good football side, you're saying, well, okay, who's going to be second, third and fourth, or maybe you're fourth, and who's first, second and third? What do they do differently to us? Are we going to change? Probably not, because we're pretty comfortable in our skin. Okay, how do we beat them? And I remember at Collingwood, we had a very good defensive unit, and we squashed sides up, and match committee said to me, other sides will learn this. I said, it's taken us 4 years to get this far. What you're going to look for is someone coming through out of left field and whacking you right in the ribs, and some sort of different sort of game plan. So I would say that Melbourne, if they're switched on, they'll be saying, what are Geelong going to do differently? And Geelong can't afford to, at this stage of the year, to be tampering too much with their game style. It has got them very successfully into the 8 and top 4 over a number of years. Do they have to modify it marginally? Well, you can only modify it if you've got the players to modify it. And if it's speed you're looking for, then have they introduced speed? Well, probably not. So therefore it then goes, well, do we play our forwards a bit higher up to make sure that May and Lever don't feel comfortable? And that would be my bet tonight. Having said that, when I look at the goal scoring, you've got Cameron and Hawkins have kicked 88 between them. If you look at the top two at Melbourne, they've kicked 72. If you look at the score involvements, which is quite amazing here, the top two are both forwards, and it's 240, whereas the score involvements at Melbourne are their two midfielders. So you can see that there's complete contrast in everything they do, and that's what makes a game like this. I think they'll stay separated in their game styles, and one will say, and Chris Scott will be probably thinking, well, look, we've got to where we've got, and we're good enough. We know we're ill last year. Not going to set it aside, but we know what's in front of us.
It gives Geelong a crack at the Melbourne system, Berkey. They're obviously without Tom Stewart, so they're a better side when he is in there, but their forward line is perhaps the envy of Melbourne with their delivery inside 50. Jeremy Cameron's all of a sudden having a career best season alongside the ever-consistent Tom Hawkins. Throw in Tyson Stengel, and then it comes down to the battle of the midfield as to who can get the better delivery inside 50.
Yeah, that forward line for the Cats with Stengel coming in. Brian Myers, we know he's a good player, hasn't really set the world on fire so far this year. He'll need a big game tonight, but as Mick said, Jeremy Cameron getting up the ground, 34 possessions last week and 4 goals, I think it was, and Tommy kicked 6. That's a new look. Him just pretty much roaming up the ground, and he's going to need to do that tonight. So interesting to see whether May and Lever go with him or whether they go, you know what, we'll just both stay back here on Tommy. And if Cameron, you kick 5, well, Tommy won't kick any, and that's a win for us.
I reckon, Berkey, I don't think Melbourne will structurally want to change. They can't afford to chase Cameron all over the place. Yep. They'll be thinking if he gets the ball 70 metres out, he's going to be under pressure enough, and he has to kick it in, and guess where his opponent is? 15 yards in front of Hawkins.
Yeah, he'll make it pretty hard for Tommy.
Well, that's why I reckon Geelong will have to change. If they're going to play that sort of role, then Close becomes a really interesting player because he's strong and he's a goal kicker. He might even just work towards Lever, and then it's up to Melbourne's secondary interceptors to see if they can sort that out. But Cameron's an athlete. You'll find him marking the ball on the kickoff. He'll almost mark his own ball when he's kicked it. He's one of the very few that can almost get to a 60-metre kick that he's kicked.
Yep.
So I think it'll be the tactics tonight. I'm really looking forward to seeing who changes to nullify the strengths of their opponents.
Well, one thing I would change, and I know this is a really unpopular opinion in modern football, but you have to do something with Oliver. You can't just let him run around, get 36 possessions and 8 clearances and set the team up. To me, Cam Guthrie is the one. Even though he's the top possession winner for the Cats at 26, the others are around about 22. I wouldn't tag Oliver, but you would say, rightio, Cam, at every bounce, you are right next to him and you beat him one-on-one.
No O'Connor?
And maybe, but I think if you put O'Connor in there, he's not going to get the ball as much as a Guthrie would. I rather than a shutdown tag, I'd say, all right, you just play on him and you beat him. And if you both get 18, well, that's a win for us. Whereas Connor might hold him to 18 but only get 10 himself. So Guthrie has the chance of evening out and get 18 each. And if that happens, I reckon that's a big win for the Cats.
Interestingly, watching Melbourne play Brisbane a couple of weeks ago, it was James Harms who went to Lockie Neal, and all of a sudden Melbourne's intent was set up by their former captain, Jack Viney, who just led in the contested footy and almost sort of follow me, heart and soul sort of player. And I'll be interested to see the return of Max Gawn, because that has been one of the areas where Melbourne have been able to expose Geelong's ruck. Be it Gawn drop behind the ball and just create that headache for the Cats trying to deliver inside 50, or really exposing Stanley and pushing forward and becoming a weapon himself.
Maxi Gawn defies age. He just gets better and better, and I think what it is, he just gets smarter. He's improved his kicking. Let's look at back over the last 5 years. He's progressively got to the stage where he's probably gone 5 or 6 metres longer. He's certainly a lot more accurate, because he wasn't getting a lot of possession, so therefore you probably don't focus much on your possession rate or on what your possessions look like. But then he started to develop, look, I'm a ruck rover, not a ruckman. He had to start to use the football, so he's improved that way, but he's also got the smarts of knowing when to get behind the ball and knowing when to push forward. And then you've got, of course, his offshoot there is Jackson, who can just come up the ground. But the interesting thing about Melbourne, I've just mentioned how many goals that Cameron, Hawkins, Stengel have kicked. 117. The top 3 is 72 for Melbourne. The difference in the ladder is quite extraordinary. So Melbourne get a lot more goals from a lot of other players compared to Geelong, who rely very heavily on those 3 and throw close in there. So they probably rely heavily on those 4 to kick goals.
And with Reece Stanley, huge job for him tonight. Interesting to see how he plays. Does he try and be more athletic than Gawn and push forward himself and get on the scoreboard? Or does he use Max as a starting point? And I'm going to follow you around everywhere, Max, and then take off every now and again, because you won't be able to go with me on more athletic. So interesting to see, are they the normal rucks who clash and go separate ways, or does he stick with him?
To celebrate the retro round, Geelong are wearing an old school jumper to reflect the old knitted wool style that they used to wear back in the day, where Geelong wore in the 80s to the 90s and had the cat logo on the front, so that's returned.
Has it got the collar?
How good? It's got the collar.
So they've
done it nicely, and a couple of the Geelong players have got the moustaches to go alongside it. The final member of our team sitting in the front row of the grandstand tonight is Tim Hodges. Hodgie, welcome to you. It's a cool night in Geelong. I hope you brought the big jacket tonight.
Oh, I've got the beanie, the scarf, everything, Matty, ready to go. Max Gawn won the toss. The Demons will kick to the players' stand end, the river end, right of your television if you're at home listening to us. It is a full house, sold out tonight at Kardinia Park. 24,000 people in the house. We just wonder how many more they could have sold with first versus second. This stadium will be something when it is completed. The weather is very, very, very cold. A low of 4 tonight in Geelong, currently 8. There is some rain as well on the way to add to the mix. We hope it doesn't arrive in time. Just repeating, no late changes. The medical subs for the Cats, it's Quinton Narkle. For the Demons, Jaden Hunt. And I love the moment when the Cats run out, guys. At school holidays, kids filled the Guard of Honour and they let the fireworks go off about 1.5 metres away from them, so there were tears everywhere.
Thanks, Hodgie. It's 1 versus 2 in round 17. Melbourne and Geelong. Here's Andrew Mays.
Gordon leap in the end, won the tap down, but only as far as Dangerfield. Wobbly kick inside 50. Clean bowled Petty. Lovely hand pass to Hawkins. Off to the young man in Stengel, but he's missed near side. He was walking into goal, 35 out, slide angle to the right, another fast start. Dangerfield kicked one after 8 seconds last week, almost had another one, just the one behind instead. That's the margin at the moment after 30 seconds.
I thought they'd done it again. Another one within the first 10 seconds, but bad miss in the end. That one was an easy shot.
May quickly into Salem in the back pocket, kicks up towards half back. Ben Brown, big strong mark. with De Koning and Dangerfield both there. So Brown at left half-back, looking at options for the Demons. Of course, he's played the pivotal role with Bailey Fritsch inside the attacking 50 with no Tom McDonald. Up towards Gawn and blitz out, slapped away from them. Petrarca couldn't take it. Now Petrarca lays a good tackle, brings down Mitch Duncan. And they'll throw it up on the Reg Hickey stand wing. The Cats are behind. Melbourne yet to score after a minute.
Tossed up. One down, only as far though as Langdon of the D's. Squeezes a kick out. It was touched on its way through. Surely couldn't be deliberate. Couple of hopeful Cats supporters hanging over the fence, but it will be tossed back into play. Kick and a half from goal. Left half forward here for the D's. Heading towards the player stand end in this opening term.
Just watching Smith play real games here with the half-back line of Melbourne.
Lovely tap by Gawn, down to Viney, slammed it on the right boot. Mark dropped by Buse, who had a metre there on Pickett, then was dispossessed, ball back in amongst the pack. Neil Bullen emerges, couldn't get his hands free, just got some sort of a kick away to Viney. Hand pass out wider to Langdon, inside 50, on his left to the top of the square, getting back and running interference was Duncan, straight down to the front of the pack. Pickett takes it, ball spills out free to Langdon, hand pass to Viney, he's been involved early. Another hand pass again, this time to Fritsch. His kick smothered as he was trying to send it to the top of the square. And it's out for a boundary throw in. Left forward pocket. Some entertaining footy. It's nice and close to start off with. Cats by point.
Harrison Petty looks like he's got the job on Jeremy Cameron.
Throwing back in. Melbourne in attack. Gawn in front. Stanley from behind. Gawn brought it down to Pickett. 55 metres out from goal. Underground hand pass to Gawn. Looking back inboard for Oliver. Missed him. Harms tries to cannon his way through. Cam Guthrie got him over the shoulder. So chance for Melbourne to go inside 50 once more. Quickly backpedaling. James Harms as he looks inside 50, but the Cats have pushed numbers back. Had May running around the back. Ignores that. Decides to go more direct towards Gawn and Ben Brown. In front position. Henry punches it away. And Holmes can't keep it alive as he and Ed Langdon battle hard against the boundary line.
Hard to mark a ball there. Geelong is so disciplined in the air. They know how to take one player on the ground out and the other player holds him up and goes across the back. Very, very well structured, the Cats.
Lots of players deep inside 50 here. Gawn won it down as far as Oliver. He's wrapped up immediately by Cam Guthrie, going absolutely nowhere. Held to him, another stoppage. Still inside the left forward pocket here for the D's. Cats by a point. Tossed up. Gawn with his left palm, straight down to Dangerfield again. Hand pass to Cam Guthrie. Quick kick out, didn't really clear the area. Harms, a hand pass to Viney, top of 50. He's wrapped up, going nowhere. This has got good intensity about it to start off with. Ball up at the top of attacking 50 for the D's.
And it is Cam Guthrie going to Clayton Oliver at every stoppage.
Stanley one down the tap to Close. Geelong finally get their go at it after the early clearance. Kicks long down the wing. Rowan tries to spoil it down to the front, but May's there for Melbourne. Kicks towards centre half forward. Spargo can't take the mark. That's not a good hand pass from De Koning. Sol Buse into trouble. The umpire circles and he's going to give him the benefit of the doubt. A ball up 45 metres out from Melbourne's goal as Christian Petrarca laid the tackle starting forward. With good support from Cozzy Pickett. Thrown in the air. Gawn tries to drop it down to Pickett. Stripped of it. Dangerfield just kicks out to the Hickey stand wing. The foot race is on. May will get there first. Overran it. Opens the door for Hawkins. Hand pass to Stengel. Kicks into the corridor. Rowan spoiled away. Brayshaw, great courage. Got it to Petty at halfback. He's tackled by Close. Umpire will come in and ball it up. Just short of half forward for the Cats. How courageous from Angus Brayshaw.
Outstanding by Brayshaw. It was all body. But he had exposed his arm and he's going to cop a hell of a lot. That was unbelievable play by Brayshaw.
From the clearance, Holmes kicks inside 50. May out to meet it. Again had a fumble. Straight to Cameron. He's dispossessed. There is Salem. Hand pass to Oliver. Turns out of one tackle, then kicks straight towards the boundary line. No decision to be made. It's out of bounds on the full. So the Cats to fire their way back into attack again.
That's 20 metres inside the MCG. So you're not used to it.
There's leather magnets over in that grandstand.
Takoni comes inboard to Mitch Duncan around too close to Ben Brown. The kick smothered as he was potentially thinking about maybe running around him. In the end, just kicked it straight into the big arms of Big Ben. And it rolls out of play for a boundary throw in.
It's a bit like a final. This one's very scrappy early. Yep. There's no time, no space. Players just chucking the ball on their boot.
Cats have got one back. Melbourne got one at the stoppage, a +1 at the stoppage.
Geelong by a point, thrown back in. Stanley wins it down, but straight to Harms of Melbourne. Hand pass to Oliver. Spiralling kick over the 50, over the head of Ben Brown as De Koning doubling back, takes the mark 40 metres out from his defensive goal.
One of the favourites for the rising star this year. Sam De Koning goes out wide. It's a bit of a sloppy kick. It almost gets out of play. Henry's there to meet it, keeps it in, but then he's tackled immediately by Spargo. Just had to get the ball on the boot to the ball. He did in the end, received the hand pass back. Another scrappy kick. Brayshaw saves it from going out of bounds. Hand pass inboard. So Jordan was almost dispossessed. It's very scrappy. Toe poke up towards the wing. Big collision from the spillage. Spilt out of Clayton Oliver's hands, down to Blitzarves. He's dispossessed. Now to harms of the D's. Off to the running Viney. Viney into space. This will hit Fritsch on the chest, and it does. Yep. And he points straight towards the goals. He'll line up from 50 out directly in front.
Forward line structure was outstanding by the D's. They had players who were 20, 30 metres from one another and loads of space. And once Viney picked that ball up, Fritsch he could have just chosen which way to go.
It is very scrappy, this one. As Berkey said, as close to a finals-like intensity as you could get. In comes Fritsch. 50 out, directly in front. Low kick. Does it have the length? It does. And the D's are on the board first after 7 minutes. One straight 6 leading the Cats, one behind. You're listening to Grandstand AFL.
Already mishit that, Berkey. I don't reckon he got anywhere near the full body of his foot. His leg was extended. It looked like it was one of those ones that come off the toe.
Went pretty low.
But the thing that saved him was the fact that he had a little bit of a run-up, and he also had a little bit of momentum when he kicked it. Otherwise, that ball was pushed a long way out in front of his foot. In fact, he's come off. I wonder what... maybe it was his turn. But I thought the pressure there... Melbourne handled the better pressure. They were able to get the clearer football, and hence the forward line, keeping 4 forwards inside the front 50, put a lot of pressure back on Geelong, which doesn't normally happen at this ground. They always come up outside it.
Interesting, you've got Stanley in the ruck, but Blitzarves also playing in the middle on Petrarca.
Jackson into the ruck, wins down the tap for Melbourne against Stanley, but Stanley's back onto it. Hand pass to Atkins to the run of Duncan. Almost run down by Neil Bullen. Just dribbled to kick around the southern wing, but onto it is Petrarca. Hand pass away to Jackson, to Neil Bullen. Around the Hickey wing, back to Petrarca. Brilliant from the Demons. From 50, Christian to finish the work, and he does. What a masterpiece from Melbourne as they forced the turnover and then made the Cats pay. All of a sudden they've had 8 inside 50s to 2, and one of those for Geelong came in the opening 15 seconds of the match. Melbourne by 11, 2 straight 12 to the Cats, one behind.
Well, that's almost team goal of the year. I know it sounds ridiculous, but under Geelong's pressure, and most of those hand passes weren't exact. They were sort of at the knee, just a little bit below. Sometimes they had to reach for it. But because they had the ball and the tackle that started it was just incredible.
And Blitzarves was on Petrarca. Because the Geelong player was streaming forward, Blitzarves took off really forward, but the turnover went straight to Petrarca, who then sent it back the other way. So you can't blame Blitzarves, but it was an outstanding rundown tackle.
So the D's laying down the challenge early. Now there's a shepherding free kick in the ruck. It was an awkward bounce, and
that's a shocking decision.
Stanley. That is. That's nonsensical. It's nonsensical. Who can read that play?
Yeah, now Jackson with the ball. High kick inside 50. Almost got to the back. Punched away from Brown at ground level. Nice hand pass the way of Selwood. Scrubby kick coming out of defence. Now there is a whistle, and it's from behind play as well. Petrarca then put Henry to ground, and so it's going to be a free kick up the field. So I think Selwood might have been dealt with afterwards. Stengel receives it, and he goes very short to Zach Guthrie.
He looks further wide round the Hickey stand wing. Finds an option as Menengola takes the mark. At right half back, great to see Sam Menengola back in the Cats lineup. Drives a long kick towards Hawkins, and Blitzarves. Petty's underneath it, spoiled away from him. Hawkins' hand pass inboard, chopped off. Harms with the hand pass to May, kick smothered. A chance for Geelong. Myers looks inside 50. Stanley and Jackson. Jackson spoils it down. Regathers, hand pass to Hibbert. Through traffic to Bowie, ran into a dead end. And the tackle's laid by Rowan, and he's going to be rewarded. Geelong get a shot on goal from about 30 metres out, providing their own tenacious pressure inside 50.
Yeah, quite a remarkable. Was it Bowie, was it?
Yeah, Bowie.
Bowie
no
just froze. He had no acceleration and was wondering what he was going to do with it. Well, he was in traffic. I don't know what he was thinking. Who's going to get hit?
I was looking at Gary Rowan's stats before the game. He's below average in everything except for tackles inside 50.
Just get the one goal so far this season. Only played from round 10 onwards with a hip and a back injury. Back on Kardinia Park, and Gary Rowan steering through the Cats' opening goal. And didn't they need that after the Demons' fast start? Melbourne 2 straight 12 to Geelong 1-1-17. We've played 11 minutes in the opening term. Thursday night footy on ABC Sport.
The inside 50s were 9-3 up to that point, and they were pretty much dominating the game, Melbourne, so it was a really much-needed goal there by the Cats.
Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Just keeping an eye on Jed Buse. Came off, copped a corky right in the thigh, so he's actually on the spin bike now just to keep it warm. Talking about staying warm, Simon Goodwin coaching from the bench. He's reached for the beanie. I don't think he's a huge fan of it, but anything to keep you warm. I'm not sure, Mick, even back in the Whitten Oval days, did you ever reach for a beanie in your coaching days?
Not even in Ballarat. Come on, Tim. Come on, you live in Victoria. Show some substance. Show some spine, mate.
Back in the middle, Gawn. Lovely palm down to Bonnie, who turned back into traffic. Couldn't get the kick away, holding the ball. Atkins, the tackling machine, with it, and his friend Blitzhouse tried to grab the free kick off him. Had to give it back. Umpire wasn't falling for that one. Atkins kicks inside 50. Low penetrating ball. Lever. No mark taken at ground level. Myers scrubs a kick forward. Big collision. One way Smith, the other way Rowan. Both trying to get to their feet from the spillage. Away from the stoppage comes Sparrow. Hand pass out wide to Pickett. Clean pick up, although he lost his footing at the last moment and fell over the boundary line. Not the worst result for Melbourne. 70 out from their defensive goal. Ball to be tossed in.
Last 2 free kicks given have been to players who have gone to sleep for a split second, unbelievably, in tight positions.
Melbourne by 5 points, thrown back in. Gawn got rid of Blitzavs, took it out of the ruck, kicks up to the Hickey stand wing. Ben Brown out of position, but he's happy to work Sam De Koning out of play for a boundary throw in.
I think they're not quite ready for finals in July. Some of those players. It's July, it's cold. It's not really finals weather, but it's a finals-like intensity.
Melbourne are wearing their Indigenous jumper, which of course as they were known as Nam, symbolising their community connection and everlasting spirit. There's a couple of long sleeves out there on this cool night as well. A free kick for a push in the back going Mark Blitzav's way. It's against Langdon. He'll take the free kick centre wing with Melbourne by 5 points.
And pass over the top from Blitzavs to Dangerfield, who ran the boundary line, just got his kick away over the head of his 2 attacks, although Hawkins, lovely little toe poke to Stengel, puts it to the top of the square. Rushed kick, he was pushed as he kicked it straight onto the chest of Jordan. Jordan short to the right back pocket. Petty takes the mark, right back pocket. 13 minutes gone, opening term. D's lead by 5. He switches play across to the left back pocket. May, I reckon he got his eyes stuck in the lights there and couldn't see the ball properly. Dropped the sitter. Plenty of time to recover. Just waltzes out of defensive 50. Brown's his target up high. Met it at the highest point. Great mark, Brown on the wing.
Thought about the hand pass for a few players charging by. Now pushes well back behind his mark and looking for options further afield. Sends it towards the attacking 50, towards Gawn. Flying was Fritsch as well. It gets to the back. Tui's to deal with as Pickett puts the pressure. Hand pass to Smith in game 250. He works it back to Tui and across the defensive goal mouth. And Henry takes the mark. He can go wider still and close marks in the left back pocket for Geelong. They trail by 5 points. Back to a kick and mark game style as he looks at options further afield. Cameron wants it close. He's trying to work around Jordan on the mark and a hand pass further afield. It got to Cameron, but as it rolled across the boundary line, just where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary, half forward flank for the Demons, who lead by 5 points.
He had a couple of options early, but just was a little bit uncertain and got himself in a lot of trouble.
All right, on attacking 50 here for the D's. Thrown back into play. Gawn pums it down. Viney again. Ripped off it by his jumper. Almost in a 360. Cats win possession. Guthrie comes away. Cam that is. Short kick is okay to find Rowan. Just forward of centre wing. Looking to move it quickly. Options dry up. Dangerfield's over the top. Opted not to go in his direction. Went longer instead. Hawkins will get a run at this because no one else did. Took it on his chest. 55 out. Chips to the goal square. Looking. Going back is Duncan. Long way down from half back in the wing. And he takes the mark. 20 metres out. Slide angle to the left.
Good play by the Cats. bit slow bringing it out of their half-back line, but once they got the ball near the wing, that was just get the ball going before Melbourne get the troops back, and that's exactly what took place. Mismatch in the air. Duncan turned first and read it better.
Mitch Duncan, great running to provide that option over the back. In he comes. 20 out, slight angle to the left, shouldn't miss and doesn't. And the Cats are back in the lead. 2-1-13, Melbourne 2 straight. We played 16 minutes in the opening term.
So important to be able to take a contested mark across your half-forward line, and it was May who tried to engage big Tommy Hawkins and wrap him up, but Tommy was just too strong. He just shrugged him off, took the chest mark, and as we saw last week, he's such a good field kick when he gets up the ground as well. He hits guys on the chest, and that's exactly what he did then. He spied Duncan running back inside 50 as fast as he could, put the ball to his advantage, and took a low-down chest mark. So Tommy Hawkins, I think he's probably been beaten by May in some one-on-ones early in this game, but that was a really important win, that one.
The voice of Nathan Burke alongside Mick Moldhouse, Matt Clinch and Andrew Mays calling the action. Tim Hodges down on the boundary. Melbourne with the first 2 goals, Geelong with the last 2 of the contest to take back the lead. Stanley one down the tap to Cam Guthrie, stripped of it. Harms to the Demons, out in front of Jackson to Viney. Beautiful pirouette away from Duncan. Got it back to Jackson. Hampas just missed the intended target. And a chance for the Cats through Menengola, who bangs it in the middle of the ground. But Brayshaw is able to nudge his opponent underneath. That's Isaac Smith and take the mark.
Brayshaw goes to the pocket. Brown will be the flyer. Didn't get a run at it at the end. Got over the back of that pack. Brown running shotgun, received the hand pass and threaded the eye of the needle from the boundary. He kept it low, knew exactly what he was doing and pierced the middle. The D's reply quickly. 3 straight 18. Geelong 2-1-13, margin 5 points in favour of the D's after 17 minutes.
Well, Brown went off the boil there for a number of weeks and got dropped. And I reckon this little bit of a sting to go back and find that I'm not as in as form as what I thought. This is as good as I've seen him play. He's on to Conning, who's an up-and-coming, well, I don't say superstar at this stage, but a very, very good player. Brown has come out, he's marked on the wing 1 touch, he's marked on the lead 1 touch. That there now, it certainly closed up around him. He had to, in the end, have a shot for goal. Quite remarkable. He probably wouldn't do it again in the history of his career. But nonetheless, it just shows you what you can do. And his agility got him that goal.
Melbourne back in front by 5 points. Gawn and Stanley. Gawn wins down the tap, but straight to Dangerfield, who bursts away from the centre square, kicks inside 50. Lever underneath, couldn't take the chest mark. Isaac Smith gets it forward on the bounce for Cameron, can't take it. And Petty gets the better of the bounce inside forward 50. Sends Melbourne out of defence, hard against the boundary through the hands of Tui, and goes out in front of Heat and Sparrow for a boundary throw in right half forward for the Cats.
Stephen May, his first 3 attacks on the ball, when he attacked it, the ball bounced over his head, bounced sideways. He's just lost a little bit of confidence in the way the ball's falling, so he's not really attacking it now as he did in the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Gawn won it down again, but only as far as Cam Guthrie. He's taken in a strong tackle by a couple of Ds. Ball spills to Oliver. Hand pass over the top is okay to Viney. He runs through half-back, looking to draw the opponent. Does well enough to get it to Langdon, who was bereft of options, forced a hand pass. Harms bounces off 1 tackle. Got it out wider again to Sparrow. Now to Viney. Quick kick forward, no good. Lands on the chest of Duncan at half-back for the Cats.
Wants to come into the corridor. Myers had to wait a moment, and Jackson almost pinched it. But he's able to take it at centre-half back for the Cats. The corridor is completely closed off, so he swings out to the Reg Hickey stand wing towards Stanley and Gawn. A free kick for a hold. It's going Melbourne's way. Stanley just had a piece of Max Gawn's jumper. He can chip it over the top to Langdon. He's held up by Holmes.
What was that called? Advantage.
Yeah,
Melbourne player had it, running with it.
Langdon veers out to the right, sends it long inside 50. Jackson, the marking target, can't take it. Atkins front and centre. Little chip kick to Smith, who retreats back to Zach Guthrie. He wants to switch out to Hawkins, who's working on the defensive 50. Has the fumble. Now has a scrap with Petty, who tries to knock it to Jordan's advantage for Melbourne. Hand pass to Spargo, back to Brayshaw. Can retreat back to Bowie and all the way back to May on the wing.
May forced to kick an awkward-looking ball. It's out of bounds on the full. Missed Brayshaw by a couple of metres. Almost wrong-footed him in the end.
Probably didn't have to go back as far, Melbourne.
Duncan with the free kick, spears it in short. Isaac Smith takes it on his chest, looks across the face of halfback. Lovely kick into the middle. 60-metre pass finds Henry, who goes by hand to Duncan. Long kick up towards half forward. Holmes, strong mark out in front. He's got a couple of options. One of them is Cam Guthrie, inside 50, all on his own. He hits him. He's 45 from goal, thinking about the pass. And now he's settling at the top of his mark. He may go back and try and use the man on the mark rule to try and get the distance.
Looks like he's got a slight breeze. Looks like it. I only say that. Well, mind you, it's across the ground, but he's good for 50. And he has always been good for 50. So, mind you, night time does take probably maybe one or two off.
Cam Guthrie spins the ball a couple of times in his hands. He'll get close to the man on the mark here. In fact, he's just going to pop it up to the top of the square. Looking for the Flyers. Gawn was one. Didn't take the mark, though. Oliver front and centre. Hand pass is okay to Petty. Now by hand to May, to Brayshaw. Brayshaw's short kick is good. And he finds Harms. D's fans can take a sigh of relief.
Harms to Oliver, almost run down by Stengel. He was just able to fend him off at the last moment. Back to Harms to Viney, who can't get past Stengel. Geelong take it back. Myers inside 50, gets to 40, fires on goal, hits the top of the right goalpost. That would have almost been the perfect turnover goal for the Cats. And Tyson Stengel applying his pressure. Melbourne by 4 points, 22 minutes gone, opening term.
Overuse. When Melbourne get a bit cocky, it's the overuse that brings them undone. Oliver's a far better 50-50, go 15 and 15, kicks and hand passes. When he goes the 10 and the 20, sometimes it's too many.
He hasn't had a great start. He's had 6 possessions, going at 0% kicking effectiveness, and quite a few of his handballs have gone astray too.
May with the kick out, very close to the boundary line, punched over by a couple of Ds for a boundary throw-in. 70 from the Cats' goal. Shallow throw in this time. Gawn opts to take it out of the ruck. Hand pass over the top to Oliver, who got rid of his hand pass before hitting the ground. Harms running through the wing. Hand pass to Petrarca. Spearing ball is good. He finds Spargo. 60 from goal, directly in front. Short kick inside 50 is good. And this is a man you want the ball with. Bailey Fritsch takes the mark. 45 from goal. Slight angle to the right.
Yeah, just so quick to bring that ball through the corridor, and multiple opportunities to either one of those players could have marked that. This will be interesting, Berkey. His first one, he looked like he towed it, and he's the same distance out. Or roughly, anyway.
He should get the distance here pretty easily, Bailey Fritsch. Takes a big breath at the top of his mark. He'll start his approach from inside the centre square. D's lead by 4. He kicks from right on 50. That one he's hit pretty well. Definitely got the distance, but it's just to the right-hand side. But you're right with the first one, Mick. I reckon that carried about 15 or 20 metres further.
That clearance by Melbourne, getting the ball inside 50 quickly, it's really, really important. At the moment, the Cats are winning the clearances 10-8. They need to keep in front. 1-1
for Bailey Fritsch, and Melbourne lead by 5 points. As Tui brings the Cats back into play into the right back pocket. And Jed Hughes takes the mark. The ever-reliable defender looks up to the wing, puts it in the Holmes direction. He marks on his chest. Had a metre or so on Langdon, and Gawn couldn't get there to spoil. So Max Holmes looks up the wing, sends it long in the direction of Dangerfield. He flies against Hibbert. Hibbert got a hand to it late and spoils it out of play for a boundary throw-in.
He's in fair form, Dangerfield, having missed a few weeks. He's top possession getter at the moment. Well, he's top for Geelong anyway. For good clearances. 4 clearances, that's really valuable against Melbourne. If you can have 4 in the first quarter, you've done extremely well.
They've been deep clearances too, gaining a lot of metres. Now Stanley from the ruck palms it down in the Stengel direction. Back to Stanley. High kick inside 50. Rowan trying to get separation. No mark taken. Hawkins thought he was taken without it. Well done by Petty. Absorbed the tackle while he was on the ground. Hand pass to Lever. Hand pass over the top is okay to Jordan. It just sits for him. And then he kicks it very close to the boundary line. In fact, out of bounds on the full. Didn't hit that one too well. Buse takes it quickly on the wing and fires it into the chest of O'Connor.
Well, that's the third one we've already had so far this game.
Melbourne by 5 points as O'Connor looks into the middle of the ground. DeConing can take the mark. He's got Stanley out on the far wing. Hickey stands side. Takes the mark between wing and half forward. As Dangerfield short ignores that. And Hawkins patrolling the top of the 50 with Stephen May right alongside him. Eventually, with no options really presenting, he does go wider still. And Dangerfield takes the mark. Wants to try and get around Sparrow on the mark. Jams it on the left. Long kick. Rowan in the pad flew. Can't take the mark. Front and centre, Cam Guthrie. Close, tries to knock it on towards Hawkins. Hard against the boundary. He cannons into May. And Brayshaw over the top. Forces the ball, if not close to the boundary line. Certainly for a stoppage in the right forward pocket for the Cats.
The problem with Stanley getting the ball out on the wing is it just allows Max Gawn to go, right, I'm just going to pop myself back inside 50. So I'd rather Stanley get in there and engage Max.
Gawn down to Harms, who had it still stolen by Holmes.
Oh.
To Cam Guthrie from the boundary. Had a pop with the banana. He had no other options, and he's threaded the eye of the needle. Sensational goal from Cam Guthrie. And the Cats have the lead again, 3-2-20 to 3-1-19, with a couple of minutes left in the opening term.
Well, the practice eyes, Berkey, I know they practice them from the race because they're lazy. Players are very lazy. They don't go down the race and have about 400 shots from the one spot. It's sort of a spot where you don't necessarily get the football, but I would be very surprised that Cam Guthrie has ever had shots from that side of the ground under that pressure.
No, because it's far away from the race.
That's right.
You're exactly right.
So we know what players are like. We can tell. So that is just a freak goal. For the listeners, you've got a right footer hooked in to the right-hand side of the goal, or point post in this case, and hugged up against the boundary line and puts it into what we call a boomerang, if you like, or whatever they want to call it these days. And the goal umpire just watched it sail straight over his head. So it was just a brilliant goal.
Geelong back in front by a point. He says to Ben Brown, I'll match you. Let's do battle from the pockets. Gawn with the clearance. Hand pass volleyed forward by Dangerfield towards Holmes. Petrarca pinches it. His hand pass looking for Salem, though Stengel gets involved. Takes it back at right half forward. Trying to kick it into the path of Holmes, running back with the flight. Now May gathers, nowhere to go. Dangerfield lays the tackle. He wins the free kick. And he is playing like a man intent. 10 disposals. Couple of centre bounce clearances into the pocket for Hawkins. He's taken high, it clears him and goes out of play in the right forward pocket.
Well, the intent was right there because at Melbourne were just caught right out. May is just having look. I know he hasn't been found out yet, but he's having a shocker. He just can't touch the football without giving it back.
Right forward pocket for the Cats. Gawn again just wrenches the ball out of the ruck. High kick though to the top of 52. He takes the mark. Great contested mark there. Bedford looked to be in the right position. Pushed Tui off it almost, and Tui stuck his hands out and grabbed it.
I hope someone's over the back of this new stand, because one thing about Zach Tui, he can knock him over as good as anywhere, including Croke Park. And if you know where that is in Dublin, and he used to shove them straight through from full back to full forward there.
So he takes a couple of breaths, Zach Tui. Spins the ball a couple of times, starts his approach inside the centre square. Almost turns side on. He'll kick from 51. Long kick. It's away to the left for just the one behind.
It's a strange run-up.
It was. 28 minutes played, opening term. Geelong, 3-3-21. Melbourne, 3-1-19.
Stephen May has the footy at the construction end, the freeway end of Cardinia Park. He looks to send a high ball towards half-back, have a fly at that. Gawn. He's got Stanley and De Koning to battle with. Ball spills down to Langdon. Stripped by Selwood. Kicks inside 50. Melbourne is set. And Lever takes the intercepting mark.
Melbourne are winning a lot of football at the fall of the ball and around packs. Their hands have been outstanding.
Lever long towards Gawn. Stanley's there, spoils it down into the middle of the ground for Harms. Beautiful sidestep around Atkins for North Selwood, who lays the tackle. Geelong take it back. Blitzhouse, hand pass to close, kicks over the head of Hawkins. And Stephen May takes an uncontested mark. 40 metres out from his defensive goal, switches it out to left half back, and Salem has it, and on turn to Lever.
Lever still inside his defensive 50. He has May inboard if he wants. He goes over his head instead to the right back pocket. Long kick is okay to Hibbert. He has Jordan Short, who takes the mark. Still inside defensive 50 here, the D's. Just trying to kill some time on the clock. He runs the boundary line, Jordan, then a long kick towards the wing. Pickett will fly. Oh, what a ride. He was never going to take the mark. Got a hand to it, though. Petrarca, kicking the middle of the centre square is good. It'll bounce and pitch a couple of times. Picked up by Salem. His kick out wide is a turnover. A characteristic there from Christian Salem. Holmes tracking back, takes the mark. Aggressive kick as well to Atkins at right half back.
Gives the hand pass to close. Spots Isaac Smith. Takes the mark. Bounced off Lever. Gets the hand pass away. Duncan through the middle of the ground. Stengel. Front-on contact in the end as he probably did enough here, but closed late.
The siren wins.
And the siren sounded just before the mark. I didn't hear the siren, Berkey. Did you?
It was very, very faint, but I reckon it was about a metre away from his hands when it went off.
It was interesting because I don't think the umpire closest to the play actually heard the siren, and the umpire closest to us indicated to him that it was the end of the quarter. So, yeah, it was a bit soft, that siren.
Well, thankfully everyone did hear it. We had more controversy than we have had before. And at quarter time here at Kardinia Park, Thursday night footy to kick off a bumper round 17. It's the Cats leading by 2 points, 3-3-21 to Melbourne 3-1-19. For the Cats, individual goals to Duncan, Rowan and Cam Guthrie. A ripping goal from the right forward pocket from Cam Guthrie, which matched the goal from Ben Brown in the right forward pocket. The players stand in, so both players threading the eye of the needle. Other goal scorers for Melbourne, Bailey Fritsch and Christian Petrarca. Cats by 2 points at quarter time. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling?
Hi.
The ABC Kids Listen app with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations, and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Now the arms of the D's, off to the running Viney. Viney into space, this will hit Fritsch on the chance that it does. Low kick, does it have the length? It does. And the D's are on the board first after 7 minutes.
Petrarca, hand pass away to Jackson, to Neil Bullen, around the Hickey wing, back to Petrarca, brilliant from the Demons, from 50, Christian to finish the work, and he does. Jackson spoils it down, regathers, hand pass to Hibbert, through driving to Bowie, ran into a dead end, and the tackle's laid by Rowan, and he's going to be rewarded. Only played from round 10 onwards with a hip and a back injury, back on Kardinia Park, and Gary Rowan steering through the Cats' opening goal.
Brayshaw goes to the pocket. Brown will be the flyer. Didn't get a run at it at the end. Got over the back of that pack. Brown running shotgun. Received the hand pass and threaded the eye of the needle from the boundary. Gorm down to Harms, who had it stolen by Holmes. To Cam Guthrie from the boundary. Had a pop with the banana. He had no other options. And he's threaded the eye of the needle.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
An opening quarter worthy of a 1 versus 2 top of the table battle, and it's the Cats who lead by 2 points at quarter time. 3-3-21 to Melbourne, 3-1-19. The Demons with the opening 2 goals of the match, Geelong with 3 of the last 4, and the lead at quarter time. Matt Clinch and Andrew Mays calling the action. Your experts, Nathan Burke and Mick Moldhouse.
Well, Burkey, Dangerfield certainly made a massive impact. When you have a look at his stats, he's had 11 possessions, 7 contested possessions, 4 clearances, 5 inside 50s. He just looks like he's playing like a player who's very fresh, ready to go, playing back in his old role, got speed up when he gets it. And interesting enough, this game, and I'll just add on after that, something about Dangerfield, is that Melbourne are getting slaughtered in stoppages. Not so much, well, the numbers are 9 to 13. It's the way Geelong are getting it out of the stoppage. They're getting a lot of meterage from each of the stoppages. So there's no resistance. I think Melbourne have been treated so well by their ruckman in the past, they can actually all get on the bike and get going. They're finding it now. They're doing that, and they're leaving the gate wide open for the Cats to run through the back part of it and setting up their forwards.
Yeah, and the Cats are doing a wonderful job around the stoppages, winning those, 13 to 9. But the good thing for the Cats is that Selwood's just had the 2 possessions and no clearances. So they're going well without him carrying a big load. And interesting with Blitzarves, we've seen him play primarily on a wing the last couple of weeks, but today they're playing him as an inside mid. He's going inside the centre stoppages. He's just had the 2 handballs, no kicks, and only just the 1 clearance. So, as you said, Dangerfield carrying a big load there. Cam Guthrie, he's been okay. He's had the 6 possessions, but there's even though the Cats are winning that area, there's room for improvement with Blitzarves and certainly Selwood being able to pick up their game. I thought Stengel was important there as well. I thought he was probably the best small forward on the ground. Looked really lively up there. A couple of almost score assists. Should have got the first goal of the game, so they need to keep a close eye on him. But probably the best forward on the ground has been Big Ben Brown, as you mentioned. Looking really lively, getting up around the wing, taking marks, kicking a goal from the pocket. But the game settled down eventually. To start with, it looked like a final. There was a lot of scrappy kicks, a lot of players getting caught holding the ball, didn't quite pick up the pace. But I think it was Geelong in that second half of the quarter who handled the pace of the game better than what Melbourne did.
Tim Hodges down on the boundary.
Don't tell the coaches this isn't a big game. It's the most intense I've seen both Simon Goodwin and Chris Scott at the quarter-time break, especially Scott. He was prowling around. Normally he's so cool and calm and collected, and he's wearing this ridiculous, it's retro round down here for the Cats. He's got a retro round jacket on. I don't know, what was Fonzie's mate called? It looks like that he's proud, but he was prowling around the group and barking instructions, and then got them in and almost composed himself and then gave it to them. So he is up for this game. He just knows how important it is for the Cats after dropping 3 games to the Demons last year. Knows that 4 points is just crucial tonight.
Thanks, Hodgie. So the tackling, Geelong's way 17-15. Melbourne with 9 more disposals. The clearances, Geelong's way 13-9. And Patrick Dangerfield and James Harms leads the way with 11 disposals for the respective sides. Cats by 2 points as we head into the second quarter. Stanley wins down the tap against Jackson. Got it to Atkins. Kicks to half forward. Bowie back with the flight. Great mark against close off balance. They're able to juggle it. Kicks up towards Jackson, who marks as Stanley collects him high in the process of trying to make his presence known.
It's the first mark to Jackson, and Gawn hasn't taken one yet.
Well, Jackson returning after missing a week. Sends it up towards half forward where Gawn and Ben Brown are both there. De Koning from behind, punches it forward, gains a good 30 metres. Stanley tries to whack it on, got it to close over the back, just brought down by Bowies. He squeezed the kick to half forward. Brayshaw back for Melbourne. Hand pass to Petty, bounced into by Hawkins as he kicks up the wing. Atkins with a one-handed mark effort, can't take the mark, and Holmes' hand pass to Buse is over the boundary line.
Just a job that Petty's doing on Cameron has been outstanding also. Just Cameron's only had a couple of possessions, hasn't kicked the football yet. So we're seeing some really good cameos around the ground and players doing jobs.
Ball thrown back into play. Stanley just got rid of his opponent on that occasion. High kick towards the top of 50, almost bounced inside 50. Brayshaw onto it for the D's, off to Bowie. His hand pass knocked down and out of bounds, 60 around from the Geelong goal.
The Cats look more settled. Melbourne look rushed. And I know it's only very early days, very, very early days, but there's a sense here by the Cats that this is a grand final for them.
Blitzarves down, but again, no one in front of him, so ball trickles over for another boundary throw-in, this time just outside of defensive, attacking 50 rather for the Cats.
I'm intrigued by Stanley playing back pocket on Gawn. It's just, maybe he's going everywhere with him.
Yeah. Viney with the clearance this time, a high kick, looking for Brown, who'll have to go back with a flight. Gawn did the roving in the end, hand pass too hot for Pickett, straight through his hands. Henry, awkward hand pass over the head of a couple of Cats. Blitzarves knocks it with the outside of his palm, only as far as Oliver though. Hand pass is okay from Jordan to Harms to Jordan to Gawn, who got around one tackler. Kick is a little awkward, forced to spoil was Petrarca. Largest ball came from Stanley and out of bounds on the wing. So they've gained about 45 metres there, the D's, but it's all looking a little messy at the moment.
Cats by 2 points, 2 minutes into the second term. Looks like Cam Guthrie is going to Clayton Oliver at the stoppages. And Tom Atkins alongside Jack Viney as it's thrown back in. Jackson knocks it down towards Petrarca. He's pressured by Blitzouts. Comes out to Atkins. Kicks towards Stengel. Almost pulled in the mark in front of Bowie. Just couldn't quite hang on. And out of play, it's a boundary throw in between wing and half forward for the Cats.
Well, we're seeing a lot of one-on-ones all over the ground. You've got Blitzarves on he's pushing the hell out of Petrarca. Oliver's being tagged.
Thrown back in. Blitzarves did knock it right to the feet of a couple of players, and the tackle is laid by Max Holmes, but it's viewed in the back of James Harms, and he'll take the free kick And left half back for the Demons. Geelong by 2 points.
And Stanley has dropped that tag.
Harms shocking kick straight down the throat of Selwood. Almost off the instep. Selwood attacking kick straight into the middle. Smith can get this and go. Instead, hand passes to Duncan. Dinky little kick landed in front of Hawkins. Picked it up beautifully. His hand pass a little hot for Blitzarves, who had to gather. His hand pass too hot for Cameron. It spills to Zach Guthrie. Out of a couple of tackles. Left foot snap. Not bringing it back enough. One behind. Again, messy going forward, but they're able to manufacture a score. 3-4-22 the Cats. 3 straight 18 the Ds. 3-1-19 rather the Ds after 4 minutes in the second term.
But I love that. That's the new Cats, getting the ball into a dangerous position in the middle of the ground and going quickly.
May brings Melbourne back into play towards Gawn. Spoiled away by Henry. Gathered by Petrarca. Hand pass missed Jordan. A chance of Stengel. Nowhere to go as he's taken out of play for a boundary throw-in. Tim Hodges on the bench.
Clinchy, thanks to our audience. The Fonz's mate was Richie Cunningham. That's
yes.
That's the jacket that Chris Scott was wearing at quarter time. That's it. That's it down here.
Main character, of course. Alongside Fonzie. Thrown back in. Gawn wins down the tap. Nowhere for Oliver to go. He's tackled by Cam Guthrie, but over the shoulder. And the two tackle with the footy as Oliver wants to get to his feet. And Cam Guthrie's not intent unless he's standing the mark.
Remember when that was 50 metres about 10 rounds ago?
Yep.
That's not anymore.
Right. Clayton Oliver gets a disposal. He sends it towards half forward. Gawn and Stanley. Gawn had a good piece of it, couldn't hang on. Cosy Pickett front and centre on his belly. Hand pass to Neil Bullen to Jackson. A Bowie run down. Close, great tackling pressure. The Cats take it back through to Koning. Hand pass to Cameron. He turns it over. Straight through the middle. Hibbard marks. Melbourne away. Hand pass to Neil Bullen. Out wide for Spargo. He's got Ben Brown on in the right forward pocket. He puts it out in front of him. And beautiful transition from the Demons. Ben Brown marks on his chest. And he'll shoot from, well, not too far from where Cam Guthrie kicked the impossible banana.
Interesting about Melbourne's forwards then, they didn't run back inside front 50, they actually scattered. So when you scatter like that, Geelong are the tricks in between. What do I do? Who do I pick up? And, of course, then you're able to find targets better than just a big bunch of players going back on top of one another. Really well constructed by the Ds.
Can't go back any further than the fence. A couple of construction workers watching on as Ben Brown from the right forward pocket puts it across the face. Gone on the behind line. It's touched. He throws it on the boot and kicks it through. I think this is a goal, but we're going to go upstairs. Did it touch a hand on the way through?
Not sure Max is convinced it's a goal.
No, I think Stanley's sort of saying it hit the post. Might have skimmed the post on the way through.
He's even missed the goal, has he, Max? If he doesn't go back to the centre, he knows it's not a book. He's not running to the centre, he's running to the wing.
I think he might have even finished the mark when he was over the behind line as well. Is he in front or behind the padding?
His acting's no good.
Yep. Reece Stanley's very, very lucky because Max Gawn got rid of him too easily.
And he didn't take the mark in one grab, so a bubble which is sort of considered over the line, I think. And a behind is going to be registered. So Geelong lead by 2 points, 6 minutes gone, second term, no goals scored so far.
From the kick in, a bounce and plenty of run from Mitch Duncan. Long kick, Gawn, one grab and the second. Jeez, could have been paid that. Obviously the umpires deemed that Stanley had first touch on it. Looked like both players got a hand to it. Gawn palms it with the outside from the throw in to Sparrow. High kick over the head of Jackson. Out the back, Pickett. He's taken in a tackle. Out of bounds. Inside attacking 50 for the Ds, but they're just starting to steady in this second turn.
Still hard work kicking goals, though. There's no one on the forward line that looks like dominating their opponent. Cats have got it pretty well structurally right.
Thrown back into play. Palm down, direction of Atkins. High tumbling kick into the middle. Awkward bounce. It bounced straight into Hibbert's chest. And then off the chest, straight to Rowan, who goes for broke from just inside the centre square. Hits a terrible ball. And then it dribbles out of bounds. Well, it was against Nathan Fyfe a couple of weeks ago at the Docklands. Not on that occasion. Throw in right forward pocket.
I was about to say I've seen worse paid.
He was going for broke. Gary Rowan. Cats have it inside, attacking 50. Hawkins doing the ruck work against Gawn, double-fisted towards the boundary line. Oliver's able to get around. Jezza Cameron kicks towards half-back. Fritsch is outnumbered. Zach Guthrie in front, can't take the mark. Henry back to Zach Guthrie, inside 50, wide of Selwood. Close, bumped off it. Lever now over the footy as Selwood comes sliding in. Quickly with the hand pass to Sparrow, chips it out to Bedford, who marks still inside the defensive 50 in the right back pocket.
I'm amazed at Melbourne's forward line. They didn't, and they still haven't got a player forward of centre, a back of centre. So they're playing virtually in Geelong's hands, really.
Cats by 2, Bedford to the wing, turnover ball though, Dangerfield, hand pass to O'Connor, who's brought down, should have been holding the ball, it was. Late call, free kick going the way of Neil Bullen. He goes quickly, looking for Fritsch, left half forward, leaper from behind, got rid of his opponent, ball on the ground, picks it up, kicks it to the top of the square, but it's 2v1, poor kick as well, too easy for De Koning to drop off his opponent, take the intercept mark. Poor kick though to Selwood, who got his head down, turned front on, and Salem came in a little too enthusiastically and copped him high. Selwood with the free kick at right half back for the Cats.
Extraordinary kick by Fritsch when he had players free and he elected to kick it straight to the Geelong player one-on-one with his opponent. It's just bizarre.
Geelong captain in his 16th year comes inboard to Tui, who works it to Henry. He takes the mark just inside the defensive 50, pointing that Petrarca wasn't standing as he goes short to Isaac Smith. Game 250. Who would have thought the former Hawk would end up as a Cat? What a great addition he's been, producing numbers very similar to his time at the Hawks. That hand pass not the best to Duncan. He cleans it up though with a hand pass to Myers. He pulls his kick. Salem chests it forward towards Spargo, can't take it. Cam Guthrie tries to fight for it. His tackle on Spargo might have been over the shoulder, umpire didn't see it, and Isaac Smith on top, and then Salem on top of him forces a ball up on the broadcast wing. Cats by 2 points, 10 minutes gone, a goalless second quarter so far.
Umpire gathers the ball, clears his way and tosses up right in front of Patrick Dangerfield, who watched it go up to Jackson, who almost tapped it straight to him. Selwood there to fish out the hand pass, only as far as Spargo though. He's tackled, one-handed handball, gone. And the free kick going the way of Myers, who's going to have to take it a couple of metres inside the boundary, right on halfway. He can go hands over the top to Duncan, or he can go longer by foot. He's going to go backwards to the point of the centre square. De Koning takes it, a little indecisive, and then he flares it out wider still. Good kick finds O'Connor behind centre wing.
He looks up towards half forward, long kick towards Duncan and Hawkins, big fly from Rowan. He couldn't come down with it though. He's back onto it, Rowan. Hand pass out in the path of Blitzhouse, who feeds it to Danger. He charges into goal, snaps on his right and misses. Across the face to the right-hand side. He had the Jets burning Danger, but couldn't control the footy as he dropped it on his boot. Cats led him by 3 points.
I let him kick 99 out of 100 of those. So it was a simple shot at the end, pretty much from the top of the goal square.
Quick kick in to Viney. His kick towards the wing. No mark taken. Cameron works the 1-2 with Blitzarves. Then kicks inside 50. Poor kick. 4 Ds on 1. And that one was Stengel, so he was never taking the mark. They're able to work this out to Langdon. And Langdon further afield to Bedford at right half back.
I can see why Melbourne don't get scored upon, but I can also see why it takes them so long to actually run a side down with their scoreline, because, quite frankly, all their numbers behind, they've got no one forward, and it's all hard work.
Demons through Hibbert, got it to Oliver, now to Viney inside 50, he kicks over the head of Neil Bullen, and 2 wide for Brown, and in the end O'Connor takes an easy mark. He wants to switch it.
And there it is. They just, they really, it's hard labour trying to get the ball into their forward line on their terms, Melbourne.
Selwood at right half, back to Cameron, to Myers, back to Jezza Cameron through the middle of Canidia Park, looking for... Well, in the end, it was Hawkins, but it never got to him. Blitzhouse spoils it down. Stengel runs onto it. Hand pass to Menengola. Back to Hawkins, trying to get around Lever. He squeezes a kick towards Atkins. Is it 15? It is. And he marks in the corridor. He's 40 metres out, slightly left of centre. And a chance for the Cats to extend their lead.
Melbourne's forward entries are atrocious at the moment. Shocking. They're either missing targets completely, or they're actually finding Geelong plays, making it very easy for them to transition the ball from one end to the other. And if Geelong can get their inside 50s just a little bit sharper, they can put a gap in between them and the Ds.
Only the 2 goals this season for Tom Atkins. He's had over 10 tackles in 2 games. A chance to extend the Cats' lead. A beautiful kick off the boot and right into the Geelong cheer squad at the players' stand end. The Cats kicked the opening goal the second quarter, which took 13 minutes to extend their lead to 9 points. They're 4-5-29 to Melbourne 3-2-20 on ABC Sport. You with Nathan Burke and Mick Moldhouse.
Well, Burkie, they've kicked 3 goals. They've kicked 4 goals to 1, really. And it's been really evident. I reckon that when you look at the scoreline, it only says 1 goal difference, 1 goal 3 difference. But the difference to me is that Melbourne are very, very good at getting back and giving a lot of numbers around inside their back 50 and saving the goals. But MCG, if you run from the MCG top 50, you get into your other 50 pretty quick. Here, it's a lot longer, and certainly there's no width. And what's happening is, as you mentioned, when Melbourne take the ball up into their forward line, Geelong have got a perfect structure. They don't need Tom Stewart there because they've got a very good layer of 6 and they're dominating.
Starting to get on top here, the Cats. They might win another clearance through Cam Guthrie as well. Slams it on the boot. Awkward kick. Dribbling ball inside 50. Lever paddles it to his own advantage and gathers, and good hand pass too to find Oliver, who had nothing to go to, so he's looking for the hand pass. As ever, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Runner came past. Langdon, short kick, finds Pickett. Just forward of centre wing. Here's the problem for the D's.
Yeah, they break down here. They really break down badly.
Pickett, he was thinking about going around the man on the mark because he had not much to go to. Then kicked a scrubbering ball first. Onto it was Holmes. Hand pass to Atkins. His kick partially smothered. Lever intercepts. His kick no good either. It travelled about 8 metres. Buse able to get the hand pass away to Hawkins, a long way from goal. Hand pass to Cam Guthrie. Couldn't gather. And the D's are away off half back through Brayshaw.
He looks up to Ben Brown on a long lead. He marks in the centre square. Now where to? Jackson charging back towards goal. He tries to spread it across the forward 50 towards Oliver. Good option as he rises and takes the mark over Jed Buse. Clayton Oliver, a player who you know is just going to give you every bit of inch he can. Took a good contested mark pretty much directly in front, 45 metres out from goal.
Yeah, it was well done by Brown, but he did have another option. He had Jackson running towards goal, who had his man on toast. So this one's a 45 metre kick, whereas I reckon Jackson would have been a 15, 20 metre kick.
13 disposals so far for Clayton Oliver. Just the 4 kicks, though, alongside his 4 clearances. A chance to answer back for the Demons from just inside 50. Great kick from Clary. And Melbourne come up with the answering goal. And who else but their X-Factor, Clayton Oliver, who does so much of the grunt work in the middle of the ground, who lifts the Demons back within 3 points. They're 4-2-26, trailing the Cats 4-5-29. 16 minutes gone, second term. A goal apiece in this quarter. Ahead of Berkey and Mick, down to Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Just keeping an eye on Jack Viney. He copped a whack right in the nose before, kept him down on the ground for a while. The doctor went out to him, he waved him off. He's A-OK to keep on ploughing on.
Well, Oliver made Ben Brown look pretty good then, because as you said, Mick, he did have a better option inside 50. He bombed the ball to roundabout, pretty much in the corridor, 48 metres out. If Clayton Oliver didn't win that ball, Geelong were going zoom straight down the guts and probably scoring at the other end. So Clayton Oliver, you made your big fella look good.
I think, Berkey, you yelled out before he had a 0%. Now he's got 100%.
Yep.
Gawn won it down, then had to turn tackler on Atkins. Did well enough to get him. Ball spills free to Selwood. Selwood high kick. Lever going back with a flight. Spoiled away from him. Bounced out of the arms of Holmes. He was steaming towards the top of 50. Running the other way, Langdon gathers. Short kick is good to find Harms. Harms short kick, or short hand pass rather, to Salem running past. Salem short. Now to Petrarca from 55. Hooks the kick badly. Good body work by Sparrow. He was actually able to push Duncan out of the way. Had plenty of space on him, but unfortunately the boundary line beat him. Ball will be tossed in left forward pocket for the D's.
Wait for the ruckman to get down there with him.
Yeah.
Fair dinkum.
Inside 50, 6 apiece in this second quarter as Gawn knocks it down to the front. A chance for the Cats, though, through Atkins. Kicks to half-back. Stengel and Bowie. Bowie punches it down, but Stengel, quick as a flash at ground level, gathers around the boundary line to Rowan, who marks just in front of the boundary umpire. Had a good look at it. Has it right half-back for the Cats, who lead by 3 points. Hawkins is trying to create space at right half forward. He puts it in that direction. Jezza Cameron in from the side, takes the mark at full vertical stretch. He wheels around on the left, sends it inside 50, Tui's up. Ben Brown got back to spoil. Onto it, Holmes. He might have thought he had a claim at the chest mark. He's wrapped up pretty quickly. And the umpire will ball it up 20 metres out from Geelong's goal. The players stand in.
Well done by Ben Brown then. He was the one spoiling the ball 20 metres out from the Cats' goal. Tracked it all the way down from one end to the other.
Jackson having a run in the ruck, and he was taken completely out of it there by Stanley. Jackson, hand pass from the free kick to Brayshaw. Short kick is okay. Jordan, he goes short as well. Outside of defensive 50 to Viney. That kick went about 9 metres, I reckon.
I think time to stretch it out to 20 metres, I reckon. Then we'll get 15-metre kicks.
Viney, long kick to the wing. Jackson couldn't get a fly at it. He was good enough to recover at ground level. Off to Neil Borland, who's taken in a great tackle. Couldn't get his arm free. Stengel got him cold.
Isn't that the no chance? His arms are pinned. As soon as he grabs it, he's pinned. I'm bewildered by some of these free kicks.
It's like a cue, isn't it? As soon as the arm's trapped, doesn't matter what pry you've had, they're going to pay holding the ball. Kick inside 50, not paid to Blitzarves. Oh, scrubbing kick forward, almost could have been a mark. Myers socketed it straight onto the chest there of Close. Unfortunately, that time it did go 9 metres. Umpire called play on. He was wrapped up. It'll be a ball up 30 out from the Geelong goal.
Gone, got rid of Hawkins, having done the ruck work, but did so.
It's against Hawkins.
Against Hawkins. I can't believe it. I think the umpire dissent rule's been relaxed because he has both arms out.
Nope.
Trying to ask the umpire, how was that possibly against me?
Well, I'm going to ask the same question.
Gord just threw him to the ground.
I really do not know.
Did he block his run?
He paid a shepherd, but he stood in front of Max. Max spun him around, threw him to the ground.
Gordon's not waiting for the full 50. Goes to Salem, broadcast side. Now inside 50. Jackson sets himself to Koning in from the side. Fritsch beautifully crumbed it. Gets a hand pass into the path of Bedford. He slips over. He's brought to ground. Good tackle from Tui. Careful not to slide in his back. And the umpire will ball it up 40 metres out from Melbourne's goal.
We'll come back to that at half time, but I'm not a fan of Hawkins' ruck work, but that was a free kick to him, not against him.
Stanley down to Selwood that time. Hand pass to O'Connor, who wanted some help from the boundary line. Had to run it in the end. Kick no good. Falls on the chest of Langdon, who can fire the D's back inside attacking 50.
I don't think umpires understand ruck work. If they've played footy as juniors, none of them have been in the ruck.
Langdon pokes it into the pocket. Holmes tracking back, takes a good courageous mark, running back with a flight. Left back pocket here for the Cats. 20 minutes played. Second term on Grandstand AFL. Cats lead it by 3. Short kick finds Tui. Inside his defensive goal square. Takes a bounce, takes a second. Ozzie Pickett not closing him till late, and then he's forced to kick. Wonderful kick too. Finds the chest of Stanley, who was on a long lead. Right half back for the Cats.
Stanley looks into the middle of the ground. A searching kick, which is going to find Holmes. He wants to play on. Gets around Viney. Straight down the middle. Great kick. Found Cam Guthrie. Hand pass to Duncan. Into the attacking 50 to Selwood. To Smith. Over the top to Myers. It's all threatening with danger. Now to Close to finish. Right forward pocket. Beautiful from the Cats. They ran the gauntlet. It was all set up by Max Holmes, and then a series of hand passes, and eventually it finished in the hands of Close, who did the rest. Geelong back out by 9 points. 2-1 in this second quarter, which is now 22 minutes old. 5-5-35 to the Demons. 4-2-26.
Well, Mick, I think you called a goal in the first quarter team goal of the year. I think we just surpassed it. That was just outstanding play by the Cats. And it started with Stanley. He had the ball on the half-back line. Instead of just going down long down the line, he let the play unfold. He saw Holmes running off the half-back line, and from there it was just straight down the middle. It wasn't completely clean, but every time a Cats player got in trouble, there was another one there running past, and somehow a player gets free 20 metres out from goal and puts it through. So great team goal there by the Cats.
Animation from Chris Scott in the
banging the desk.
Well. I fear for that desk by the end of this game, if that's the way he's carrying on. Clearance here for the D's, much needed one. Viney, hand pass to Petrarca for the immediate reply from 55. Thank you very much. Sinks his slipper into it. What about that for a comeback? 23 minutes played, second term, margin back to 3 points in a flash. Petrarca with 2.
Well, You've got Gawn, Viney, Oliver, Petrarca, all around the ball, all touched the ball. And when Petrarca saw that the hand pass come to him and he was just about to kick it and he realised he had metres on either side of him, out went the afterburners and he just then... And for all those young blokes, when you run real fast, your kicking stride at the end must be a kicking action, not a running action. And Petrarca almost slowed just to put it straight through the middle. Unbelievable 55-metre kick.
Mick Malthouse alongside Nathan Burt, your experts, Matt Clinch and Andrew Mays calling the action. Tim Hodges down on the boundary. Gawn versus Stanley. Gawn wins down the tap looking for Oliver. He's got a couple to compete against. Eventually the Cats through Cam Guthrie to Dangerfield. Brought down by Petrarca. Got a hand pass to half forward. Cameron, great one-handed pickup. His hand pass to Myers to close. Back to Danger. He steadies from 40. Misses to the right. That might be the difference between Christian Petrarca and Patrick Dangerfield, although both have had their moments where they haven't been able to finish in front of goal. Geelong leading by 4.
Yeah, Paddy's not a great... I think Paddy thinks he's a great left foot kick. I think there's a bit of news for him.
From the kick out, May, high ball. That was Gawn. He actually did the roving in the end. Hand pass to Petrarca, to Jordan, and now to Salem. Very intelligently, I reckon he hand passed that onto the boot of Myers and out of bounds on the full. He'll get the free kick, Salem, here at left half back. Deliberate there, do you reckon, Berkey?
Well, he deliberately tried to get it on the ground. It's just that Myers was smart.
Salem long down the wing. Gawn the target. Fritsch flew late. Stanley knocks it down. Zach Guthrie tries to knock it on. Viney's kick was smothered. Blitzavs emerges with it. Hand pass to an off-balance Stanley, who kicks it out on the full.
I'll tell you another thing, Berkey, which is very, very noticeable. You yelled out early, I think it was you, Matt, said no marks to Max Gawn and only one to Jackson. It's very evident that Geelong want to spoil the ball in the air, not let Max get his confidence up under no circumstances. Don't try to outmark him, just belt the ball down. It's worked brilliantly.
Cats by 4 points. Salem's long kick to Koning rised in the pack. Almost pinched it with Max Gawn in front, which is no easy feat. In the end, the footy locked underneath the Melbourne captain, who slowly gets to his feet and the umpire will throw it up. Geelong by 4 points. The biggest lead so far was 11 after Melbourne kicked the opening 2 goals. Cats have got out by 9 on a couple of occasions in this second quarter. Gawn and Blitzavs can't be separated and they'll ball it up again on the wing.
And those two go at it in the ruck. Blitzavs this time, a couple of taps, only as far as Oliver, though, who was pushed off his kick, didn't gain any territory. Straight to Atkins and now to Dangerfield. Off a couple of steps, high kick. Cameron floated over the top, got a good ride, couldn't complete the mark. Viney hand pass to Neil Bullen, crucial pickup, although slipped at the crucial moment. Now close, bashes it back only as far as Neil Bullen. To Brayshaw by hand, out wider still to Jordan. Poor kick, he's turned it over again. Dangerfield takes it on his chest on the wing.
Poor turnovers. A lot of I'd always call them unnecessary turnovers, trying to do a bit too much of the ball.
Dangerfield looks at options towards half forward. No real marking target. Myers flew, probably gave away the free kick. And the umpire viewed it that way as Oliver takes the free kick for Melbourne. Veers out to the right, drives it long towards Fritsch. Henry underneath it. Fritsch gave him a nudge, allowed Ben Brown to take the mark. He turns onto his right-hand side. Centre wing towards Fritsch, who's backpedaling. All coming late was Zach Guthrie. He made high contact and Fritsch will take it. Just inside 50, out to the left. He wanted to square it up to Viney, but he slipped. And now we'll have to go back behind his mark.
Of course, forwards always slip when they're going to kick the ball to a player who's closer. Oh, I mean, it was there. There's no question he did slip, but this one's just beyond him, I reckon.
Out to the left. He's got one next to his name, Bailey Fritsch. He'll have to kick just outside 50. He pokes it towards the teeth of goal. Gawn's there. Henry was awake to that. He spoils it through for a minor score Melbourne's way. Geelong by 3 points, 27 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport.
Berkey, why wouldn't he have run around? Because you're not let him move. I don't get that.
He would have been kicking from 51. He's got that in him. We've seen that already so far tonight.
Well, he would have kicked from 45 if he'd have gone around the man the mark, because the time the umpire blows play on, you're already past him.
Duncan from the kick in to Selwood, out wide, left half back, takes the mark, couple of metres inside the boundary line, pokes the pass over the top, risky kick. He's missed Isaac Smith by almost 5 metres there, out of bounds on the full. So another chance for the D's through Oliver to go inside 50. High kick to the top of the square. Brown couldn't get a run at it. Henry, strong, decisive fist over for a rushed behind.
That's that spoil.
5-6-36 the Cats, 5-4-34 the D's.
Still no marks to Max Gawn.
No, I reckon it's a set. Don't let him get his confidence.
So he looks at options. Jeremy Cameron leads straight down the middle. Until his patience was rewarded, he found Jezza. He looks out towards the Red Hickey stand wing. Hawkins the marking target. Almost took it. Now follows up. Lever lays the tackle. He can't get a hand pass away. And the footy is locked to him. So the umpire will ball it up inside the centre square.
Well, there's identical. In fact, Hawkins probably took them on more. And it's Tommy Hawkins at Geelong, so don't free kick him.
Geelong by 2 points. Gawn tries to whack it down. Straight to Menengola of Geelong. An up and under kick. Where they sit underneath it, Selwood's the only one who has a real go at it. Ricochets off Bowie, back to Selwood. Hawkins' kick was smothered by Salem. It comes out to Isaac Smith. Game 250 from 55. Fires on goal and misses out to the right. Cats lead by 3. Almost a signature moment for Isaac Smith on the run, but couldn't finish.
Cats have extended their clearance lead up 25-17 now.
It's unheard of against Melbourne, particularly the Cats, because they're not recognised as great clearance club.
Long kick made from his defensive goal square to Koning with the spoil. Brown just with a punch of the ball in there. Straight to Zach Guthrie, who's taken in a strong tackle. Spun a couple of times, held to him, no prior. He's locked up. We'll have a ball up right half forward for the Cats. Umpire sees Gawn, throws the ball in his direction. Tap down to Viney. Viney taken in a tackle. He got his kick away while he was sitting on the ground. It ricochets to Selwood. Short pass is okay to Dangerfield. And his teammates say, hold it up, because there's not too long left in this second term. So he's missed a relatively easy shot from 35 out slide angle on his left foot on the run. He's taken this mark at 45. He'll have to kick about 52, 53 metres to carry the goal line. He's going to start his approach on the boundary line.
I'll get the siren going, I think. See if we can hear this one. There it is.
A lot easier when Danger's at the start of his approach. This would take his best. He kicks from 51, lays into it. It's across the face. It just makes it over for a behind. So the score at half-time, Geelong 5-8-38, leading the D's 5-4-34. That second term running 30 minutes and 19 seconds. Goal kickers for the Cats. One to Atkins, one to Close, one to Duncan, one to Guthrie and one to Rowan. Meanwhile, 2 to Petrarca, 2 big bombs tonight. And Fritsch and Brown and Oliver with 1 apiece.
So Geelong with 2 goals, 5 to Melbourne's 2-3 in that second quarter. And after the Cats led by 2 points at quarter time, they lead by 4 at half time. Nathan Burke and Mick Moldhouse, there's not a lot in it between the two sides, and it's been an enthralling wrestle in large portions of the first half.
Oh, it's been absolutely fantastic game. It's you easily see the distinct difference between top clubs and bottom clubs, mainly because of the quality all over the ground, the way they defend and the way the offensive side of things. We're seeing sides that can demolish sides because of their pressure. Goal scoring, of course, we're looking here, we only found 10 goals for the game so far, which tells you there's a lot of good defensive work both near the ball and forward of the ball by both sides. I've been staggered at the number of turnovers. There's been a lot of what I would call unnecessary turnovers by both sides who, you can say referred pressure, but I think that's an out. There's been a bit too cute with the football, playing like millionaires trying to get the football. Same with the hand passing. I go with you, Berkey. If you said to me that Geelong would be leading comprehensively at half-time in these clearances, I would have thought, no, we're at the wrong ground, because Melbourne have got all the ingredients to win that. Geelong have turned the tables on that. That's not their ace that they use, but it served them well. If Melbourne rein that in and the contested possessions stay the same, I think Melbourne will overcome Geelong. If Geelong can maintain the clearances, I think they will win the game.
If you look at the stats, it's very, very even. Contested possessions, there's only one difference. Inside 50s are 27 each. Tackles, 29 each. There's only 6 difference in the actual possessions. And you're right, the biggest differential is those clearances, where Geelong are +9 in those clearances. And that's really the only stat that is different. The other one that we've mentioned a couple of times, a really important stat, is that Max Gawn hasn't taken a mark and Luke Jackson's only taken the 1. And you're right, there's a real concerted effort. So any time they are under the ball, you've got Stanley there, you've got Blitzarves also coming over the top, De Koning's coming forward and smashing the ball forward. So they're making sure that those players have no influence in the air. If Max wants to get 11 possessions and little handballs around the place, well, let him actually do that. So that part of their game plan that they wanted to do is obviously working extremely well. And I tend to look at, okay, which team is playing the way that they want to play the most? And apart from the first probably 10, 12 minutes of the game, it's been Geelong. They're the ones who would go in and say, radio, we've got a heap of examples of moving the ball the way that we want to actually move the ball. And we saw on our screens here when Geelong kicked the goal that Chris Scott up in the box was getting real exciting. He's banging the desk. And that's not just because they got a goal, but I reckon they got a goal by playing the way that they want to play. They train certain ways of playing, of getting the ball into the middle of the ground and then shooting down the middle, running in numbers past. That's the way they train. And when you train something and it happens on the game, that's when the coaches get excited because something's actually worked out for us. And I reckon that was a real way that they wanted to beat Melbourne and bring the ball down the middle and really attack them and take the game on. And that's what they're doing far better than what Melbourne have done. Having said that, the difference is 4 points. If Melbourne aren't playing well and Melbourne aren't playing their style of game, they're only 4 points behind. So in a sort of a perverse way, that's a good thing for Melbourne because they've got a long way to actually improve. And if they do, it's still going to make it hard for the Cats to win this game.
Thoughts of Nathan Burke and Mick Malthouse with you at halftime from Cardinia Park. Thursday night footy, it's the Cats leading by 4 points. Let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will resign after a number of cabinet ministers stood down from his Conservative government. He's reportedly spoken to the Queen and is expected to deliver a resignation speech to the country later today. Here's Europe correspondent Isabella Higgins.
For months on end now, there has been intense pressure on Boris Johnson's leadership. He survived a leadership challenge not long ago, just weeks ago, with a 59% majority. But in recent days, it was some allegations about the handling of sexual assault allegations of another MP in his party that made some of the senior ministers in his cabinet say, this is the end, this is it.
The foreign ministers reiterated that the federal government wants to stabilise Australia's relationship with China. China's foreign ministry has now confirmed that Minister Wang Yi will meet with Penny Wong on the sidelines of tomorrow's G20 foreign ministers meeting in Bali. It'll be the first such dialogue between the two nations since 2019. Penny Wong says improving relations will benefit both nations.
What I've said publicly, and it remains the Albanese government's position, is that we believe it would be in China and Australia's interests for this relationship to be stabilised.
The Australian Medical Association is again encouraging people to wear masks as the simplest way to try to reduce the new wave of COVID-19 infections. There have been another 43,000 cases across Australia today, the highest numbers seen since late May. Hospitalisations are at their highest since early February. Most jurisdictions say they're not looking at making mask wearing mandatory again at this stage. Dr Chris Moy from the AMA says another mask mandate should be considered.
Our total response to COVID and this very, very serious wave that we're facing is vaccines and antiviral treatment. But I think the issue of mask mandates should be considered along the way we've done everything. Look at what it would do in terms of reducing the number of cases, because it is extremely concerning what we're facing over the next few months.
The federal opposition claims a decision to drop a long-running prosecution of lawyer Bernard Collaery over the alleged leaking of classified information undermines the work of national security agencies. Attorney-General Mark Dreyfus has instructed the Commonwealth to end the prosecution of Mr Kaleri over charges for helping an ex-spy known only as Witness K to reveal an alleged Australian spying operation in East Timor. Shadow Attorney-General Julian Lisa says Mr Dreyfus must explain to the Australian public why he's taken the unprecedented step. A police team on the New South Wales Mid-North Coast will be recommended for a Bravery Award after conducting a dangerous flood rescue north of Kempsey yesterday afternoon. A 72-year-old woman became trapped in chest-high water after floodwaters swept her vehicle off the road and into trees. Police were able to free the woman from the vehicle and bring her to safety using a winch cable. Sergeant Brad Smith, who entered the water to rescue the woman, says she didn't sustain any major injuries.
We obviously conveyed the female to hospital. She was in quite a bit of shock, some mild hypothermia. You could tell that it was a situation that had really shaken and caused her quite some distress.
A climate expert says modelling done by universities and research groups have consistently found the cost of not acting on climate change is much higher than the cost of acting. Treasurer Jim Chalmers has ordered the Treasury to restart its climate modelling, says work is underway to restore the department's role in climate action. An advisor at the Australia Institute, Polly Hemming, says some models show more than $5 trillion in cumulative damage from climate change between now and 2100.
Even then, there have been so many reports showing that actually, in reality, many investments that will cut emissions will actually pay for themselves over time. So energy bills will fall as a result of more low-cost renewable power or better energy efficiency. Decarbonising will help Australia stay competitive in global markets.
Russia claims to have killed Ukrainian troops attempting to raise their country's flag on Snake Island, a strategic outpost in the Black Sea. Ukraine's forces had reclaimed the small island last week in what was described as a crushing defeat for the Russian invaders. Several Ukrainian troops landed on the island from a motorboat and took photographs with the flag. Ukrainian officials say the Russian strike is likely in retaliation to the gesture. You've been listening to the latest ABC News.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
There's so much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
To Hawkins trying to get around Lever. He squeezes a kick towards Atkins. Is it 15? It is. A chance to extend the Cats' lead. A beautiful kick. Jackson charging back towards Gully. Tries to spread it across the forward 50 towards Oliver. Good option. A chance to answer back for the Demons from just inside 50. Great kick from Clary. Hand pass to Duncan, into the attacking 50 to Selwood, to Smith, over the top to Myers. It's all threatening with danger. Now to close to finish. Right forward pocket. Beautiful from the Cats.
Clearance here for the D's. Much needed one. Viney. Hand pass to Petrarca for the immediate reply from 55. Thank you very much.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time down at Kardinia Park. It's Geelong leading Melbourne by 4 points. 5-8-38 to the Demons. 5-4-34. So after the Cats held a narrow 2-point lead at quarter time, it's 4 points at the main break. And Christian Petrarca is the only multiple goal scorer in the game so far with a couple. Matt Clinch and Andrew Mays call all the action. Nathan Burke and Mick Moldhouse are your experts with Tim Hodges down on the boundary. There's so much other sport taking place at the moment as well. The one match in the NRL, which is underway tonight, round 17. It's Cronulla Sharks leading the Melbourne Storm 20 points to 0. Approaching 40 minutes gone there. So not a good night so far for the Storm, with the Sharks comfortably in control there. Just repeating, there is news that's been speculating this afternoon that Boris Johnson is expected to resign as the British Prime Minister. If that news does break, we'll bring it to you. But, of course, ABC News Radio will have rolling coverage of that. And, of course, in Wimbledon, it's a big night, ladies' semi-final night.
I thought you were going to say the breaking news is Rafael Nadal's pulled out of the semi-final and Kyrgios is through.
Not as yet, but I mean, that does play nicely to the narrative that it's highly unlikely I might be able to play, and unless I miraculously play and win, which would be a great storyline. But
you better if he played Boris Johnson. How would that go? They both talk themselves up a bit. How would that be? If there wasn't a ball hit, who would win? I mean, that is quite remarkable.
I'm just pondering that for a second. Yeah.
What you can't picture it?
Oh, I could picture it, yeah. I'm just not sure if either would breathe. They just keep talking the whole time.
No, and they wouldn't have a clue what each other have said.
Yeah.
He's not got some great form, Boris Johnson. I remember he was in Japan, I think, doing a promo shoot with a rugby club, and very much Scott Morrison's tackle down in Tasmania. Very similar occurrence with Boris, who put this 5-year-old straight on his backside. He was a bit too keen to show off his tackling skills.
You're just jealous because of his hairstyle.
Yeah, I've been jealous of a lot of anyone with hair.
The teams have also come in for the rest of round 17. So Friday night, Sydney and the Western Bulldogs. Laddams and Amati come in. McDonald's out and Hickey as well with illness for the Sydney Swans. English, Richards and Hannon come in with O'Brien, Sweet, Crozier and McComb missing. Collingwood and North Melbourne from the MCG on Saturday. No Darcy Moore. I thought Jordan De Goey was out, but he hasn't been named out, so maybe Collingwood are keeping their powder dry there for the moment, but Jeremy Howe is returning. And for North Melbourne, there's no Jason Horn-Francis. So Scott, Zeeble, Bonner, Coleman, Jones come in. Bosavalagi, Walker, Turner, Hall and Cherry all missing. So unfortunately for David Noble, who just has the one win next to his name. It's been a tough season for North, Mick. What advice would you give to David, who is trying to very much provide a calmness and transparency in terms of what they're trying to do, but that must be increasingly challenging?
Well, the worst thing about it is that all the players would be affected by it, because anyone that turns up to a North Melbourne training run, they're not down there to see them train. They're down there to see whether what's happening to the coach, what's happening to the CEO, what's Jeff Walsh going to do next. And it disrupts the whole club. Now, I've been through it myself, and the players lose focus. This is where you want a strong president to come out and either just make a statement that's going to make sense. We're going to make a change. We're going to look at this by the end of the year. We're going to wait for Jeff Walsh, but come out and just say this decision by Jeff Walsh will be presented on such and such a date. We will then sit and listen to what is said, and then we'll make a decision. So what it does, it gives clean air for 1, 2, 3 or 4 weeks, whatever the case may be, instead of this speculation on a daily basis. It's like Boris Johnson. When's he going to, bugger up enough to be thrown out, and everyone sits around waiting for David Noble to do the same thing? No. The best thing he can do is he cannot change things now. I've got to say I'm bemused and a little bit disappointed that their number one draft pick is not playing. I think 2 weeks of suspension doesn't. All that does is freshen him up. And also, just if they went back over life again, they would be saying, we can't treat everyone the same. That kid, Mother's Day, we weren't travelling well. Why not give him a bit of a day off and let him go, and let all the players go and see their mum or something, or whatever the case may be. So every now and again, you've got to lighten the load as opposed to press the load. And you're not going to miss 1 day of training or 2 days of training. I've always said it's better to have fresh players mentally than fresh players physically. So, and I really feel for David Noble, because the pressure would be building inside, it would be building in his home. He would walk into the club knowing everyone's talking about him, and that is not healthy.
Berkey, you saw North Melbourne firsthand against the Cats last week. The hope is that if you could get a win, that would help change the narrative. But the other alternative is if they were to lose by 100 points for a second consecutive week, the Bunsen burner will only start to get a little bit higher.
Well, I think there's already a record there of losing 11 games by 47 points or more. So 100 points is probably not going to worry them. They're used to losing. But I just 2 weeks in a row I've seen them down in Tassie against Adelaide and here last week, and I'm struggling to find what are they building? What's their style? Are they going to be, let's hang our hat on moving the ball quickly, or let's hang our hat on just being really safe and really strong in our defensive efforts. I'm just not seeing what they're trying to build, because almost quarter by quarter I'm seeing something different, and that's a worry for me.
Yeah, taking Ben Mackay from fullback and putting him at full forward, I'm not sure that provided the relief in which they were hoping to. For Richmond, they get a couple back as they take on the Gold Coast. It's a good clash on the twilight from the Gold Coast. So Dion Presti is back, but they do lose Nick Vlosten through suspension, and Gibcus through illness, and Dustin Martin with a hamstring, and Kane Lambert a hip. So that'll be a good game off the back of Stuart Dew signing a 2-year contract extension, which was good news. Sort of it felt like the parameters were finals, Mick, but the club feel like they've seen enough that he's their man.
Delighted for Stewie Dew. He's done the hard yards. It's not easy up in the Gold Coast. They don't have great physical support around like this tonight. It's chock full of Geelong supporters. I'm glad the board have stood up and supported him. There's a lot of pressure, of course, media pressure that suggested otherwise. And I think that when you have a look at the way the players responded this year, they've been all but competitive. But I think there was one game or two games that they may have been like, Melbourne got smashed a couple of weeks ago as well. So you're not out of the woods in this competition. But the thing is about it, there's stability there. All of a sudden we see a side that's playing. Berkey, what you said about North Melbourne is the direct opposite to Gold Coast. They've got a DNA that they're playing to. They've got a good young midfield. They've got a forward line without their key forward, but they've been able to put Chol and Casbolt down there, so they channel it through there. They've got a nice steady back line. It won't be long before they start taking some big scalps. I've actually picked them for this week against Richmond. I just think that their strengths, Richmond's strengths, have sort of dissipated a little bit with Martin and now Lambert out as well. So this will be a very interesting game. But I am delighted for Stuart Dew for a start-off, and the players, because now they know what they've got for the next few years, and those young players need that stability.
Couple missing for the Suns with health and safety protocols as well, Isaac Rankin, and unfortunately Connor Broderick's season is over.
Shame with Rankin.
Yeah.
Jeez, hasn't he turned his
Is
season
he out,
around?
Yeah. Health and safety protocols. So
who have they brought in?
We'll bring you them at three-quarter time. Players are in position. Geelong leading by 4 points, 5-8-38 to the Demons, 5-4-34. In this top-of-the-table clash, it's been the Cats who have been able to keep their nose in front. The Demons, as the reigning premiers, will know that if they can get everything clicking in the second half, as they have in so many games, they might be able to overrun the Cats and prevail victorious. Here we go into the second half. Geelong by 4 points. Here's Andrew Mays.
What of the next hour of footy here down at Cardinia Park? Upriser's gone, this time against Stanley. Another ruck infringement. It's going Stanley's way, and the crowd loves it as well. High kick inside 50. Got things going quickly. Levy used his body beautifully against Stengel. Got separation, took a nice mark in defence. Lever wants to go quickly too. High kick, straight down the middle too. Attacking kick, Gorn. Couldn't take the mark. Shoved off, it was Viney. Got a boot to ball. Brown picked it up, then he was dispossessed, holding the ball. Turnover ball. Pretty hot there, the umpires on the whistle. Now, Blitzarves wants to get it back as quickly as possible to Cam Guthrie, who now has it in his possession, just forward of centre wing.
Guthrie looks at options in the middle of the ground, spots up Henry. He's going to move it wider still to Jed Buse, who's pushed forward. Has it left half forward. Cosy Pickett offers chase. He chips it further afield, and Isaac Smith takes the mark. It's probably within range. Out to the left. Angus Brayshaw's a couple of steps inside 50, so if he can wind up on the run, potentially veer out to the left. Tough angle, though. Smith in game, 250, does just that. Brayshaw tries to lunge forward, just putting him off his kick, which is towards the teeth of goal. Cameron up with one arm, beautifully down to Stengel, who put it through for a point to the left-hand side. Just couldn't quite finish on the outside of the right boot. Cats leading by 5 points through 90 seconds of the third term.
Beautifully crumbed by Stengel, though. He adds another dimension to him down there. Big marking side.
He's get it going through Hibbert. Long kick towards the wing. Mark dropped by Brown. Good enough to recover. Hand pass to Bedford. Now further afield to Petrarca. Kicks inside 50. Oh. Terrible kick. It's almost like he spotted Tui and thought he was a D. Hit him on the chest. Tui a little lazy in his kick. It landed in front of Dangerfield. Hand pass there to Cameron. Kick is okay to Stengel. Stengel a hand pass to Guthrie. Cam Guthrie drives the ball into the forward pocket. Lovely movement again by the Cats. Rowan takes the mark, a metre inside the boundary.
Yeah. The swarming defence that we saw from Melbourne against Brisbane a couple of weeks ago that I thought was the best defensive effort for the whole season. This is chalk and cheese compared to what they dished up against Brisbane.
What a kick of the Petrarca.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
He needs his eyes checked.
Rowan bends it back beautifully. As soon as he connected, that was never missing. Perfect snap, perfect start to the third term for the Cats. 6-9-45, Melbourne 5-4-34. The margin just getting out a little bit here. It hasn't been beyond 9 points the whole game, and that's we sit at 11 at the moment. So a game high 11-point margin in favour of the Cats after 2 minutes in the third term.
It's the way that Melbourne have given up the ball all day that's been to me it's been so surprising how they've just missed targets by metres. And generally speaking, you'd say it's got to do with the fact of having players in the vicinity, but Geelong have traditionally at this ground kept their back six intact, and it takes a very good side to break through them. And at the moment, a lot of Melbourne's players are getting caught right up the ground.
Gary Rowan with his second and a classy finish. Stanley wins down the tap against Gawn to Cam Guthrie. He's tackled and holding the footy. Despite play continuing with Blitzhouse trying to break clear, and Oliver still laying the tackle. Jack Viney will be rewarded for his tackle on Cam Guthrie. Takes the free kick in the middle of Canidia Park. Straight down the middle towards Gawn. It clears him. Ben Brown at the back. Beautiful crumbing. He might not have the distance though. As racing back, Zach Guthrie dropped the mark. He's been paid the mark.
We got a push in the back.
Yeah, against Bailey Fritsch, who was just a couple of feet behind and couldn't quite make up the ground. So Zach Guthrie on the last line, up against the behind line. Players stand in. Kicks very wide. That's too wide and clears Salem and Max Gawn. So Melbourne will take the free kick at left half forward. The Cats leading by 11 points.
Max had a chance to have his first mark out in the full.
I reckon we're up to 10 out in the full so far.
Even the Cats kick it out of bounds on the full here. Kick is good inside 50. Brown was at the front, couldn't take the mark on a hard lead. Spilt through his hands. Pack forms. It'll be tossed up 40 from goal.
Still like the way Geelong still keep forwards forward of the ball. So their backs have got something to kick the ball to.
Melbourne into attack. Brown into the ruck. Won it down. Bedford came storming through. Viney fended off one. Hand pass back into traffic. Turned over, although Cam Guthrie turns it over by hand. Straight to Langdon. Snaps towards goal. Won't have the journey. Getting back, De Koning takes it on his chest. Almost on the behind line.
It's another case of the Cats just outnumbering the right time.
Koning out towards half-back. Stanley and Blitzat's in the back. Cleared them. Salem at the back. Hand pass to Langdon, to Oliver, all under pressure. Back to Salem. Ran into a dead end. Holmes lays the tackle. Salem drops it onto his boot. Everyone thought the whistle was going to go. It didn't come. Blitzat's hand pass to Stanley. Up to the wing. Melbourne well set. As Petty takes the mark over the top of Close. Under the Hickey stand. He sends Melbourne towards half-forward. Gawn doesn't fly. Zach Guthrie brought it down. Harms against the boundary. Dribbles it towards the goal mouth. Henry racing back. But it's the wrong side of the left goalpost. Through for a minor score. Cats leading by 10 points.
5 played third term. Smith received the kick and then kicked it straight out of bounds on the full. Chris Scott sits back, low in his chair in frustration.
Not sure what the world record for out on the fulls are, but I think we're on pace.
I reckon the top 10 would be from down here. Lever, high kick inside 50. No mark taken, or in fact there was on the second grab. Henry came down with it. Lovely defensive grab. Short kick, right back pocket, marked by Tui.
Without Stewart in the team, Henry becomes really important because that's the sort of mark that Stewart would take, and he's done a wonderful job so far this game.
Geelong by 10 points. Tui around the boundary line. Short to Zach Guthrie, back to Tui, the run and dash from the last line. Not a great kick as it spins and bounces through the legs of Salem. Allowed Holmes to get a toe poke onto it. Now Hibbert's racing back. Stengel trying to pressure him. Hibbert could have got his jumper tugged. He certainly wanted the umpire to notice that. And in the end, he does get the blow of the whistle for the free kick under immense pressure at left half back. Cats by 10 points.
It's exactly the same jump and tug as the Geelong player had after he kicked the ball off the ground and tried to chase it.
Kick from Hibberd, back inside defensive 50 to May. May careful with his kick, short. He finds Brayshaw, top of defensive 50. Brayshaw at true centre half back, flares it out wide. Mark taken by Hibberd, over halfway. Piercing kick, Gawn again couldn't take the mark, it was spoiled. Or in fact he's going to get the free kick for chopping the arms. And Holmes is ropeable with the umpire. Gawn with the free kick, couple of kicks from goal. Can load up inside 50. He was looking for Neil Bullen, wider still, just finding 5 metres is Petrarca, who takes the mark, 5 metres inside the boundary line, 49 from goal. He's kicked a couple of beauties tonight, but this will be his best.
There's a lot of booing going on with the free kicks, but it's actually 12 to Geelong, 14 to Melbourne.
So Petrarca at the top of his mark. He can reach out and touch a couple of the Ds who've made the journey down to Kardinia Park. He kicks from 52. Long kick, high kick across the face. In fact, it just hits the post. Came back in the end. Petrarca, I reckon he thought that was in too, the way it was swinging. One behind. Margin is 9 points now in favour of the Cats.
Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Matt, Joel Selwood just on the ground. He's been using a hot water bottle to keep warm these first 8 minutes. So, Mick, if you call me soft, you've got to call Joel Selwood soft. It's just hit 7 degrees on the way to 4. Genuinely icy down here.
Tui straight down the middle to Jezza Cameron. He opens up play out to the broadcast wing for O'Connor. Kicks wide looking for Myers. He's got to deal with a bounce. And Brayshaw kicks into the corridor. Duncan. How good was that? The set play from Geelong from the last line into the attacking 50. And both sides have wanted marks inside 50. It's the Cats who have taken 7 to Melbourne's 5, despite Melbourne having a couple of more inside 50s, but a chance for Mitch Duncan to kick a second goal.
It's also where it is, Matt. You like to have all your marks taken within 35 metres and directly in front. Well, this one is in very good hands. Duncan really misses.
5 goals so far this season for Mitch Duncan. Normally across half-back, but a chance to strike for his second. It's offline to the right. Put the commentator's curse on him, Mick.
But he laid back on it.
Cats by 10. He did indeed.
Laid back and thought it was home.
Cats fans, please address all correspondence to Emerald House after that.
Well, they're going to queue up behind the Essendon people who haven't forgotten me.
May short with a kick into the left-back pocket. Mark is taken by Hibberd. He goes quickly. There's plenty of numbers just forward of centre wing, but the highest to rise was Blitzarf's rather. Takes the mark, was paid it on the way down. So he's a couple of kicks from goal, can fire them back inside 50. Instead he goes short. Pickett was lurking for a moment. He just got there in the end. O'Connor takes the mark, still inside the centre square. He goes out wide. Dangerfield went to ground. Oliver fell over the top of him, and it gets over the back, over the top of everyone. And out for a boundary throw and inside the attacking forward 50 for the Cats. 6-10-46. Melbourne 5-6-36. The margin 10 points after 10 minutes in the third term.
Just the one goal in this third quarter Geelong's way so far through the opening 10 minutes. Hawkins does the ruck work, tapped it straight down. And Neil Bullen has nowhere to go as Tom Atkins lays the tackle. Thrown up. Hawkins once more against Jackson, swarts it into the direction of Holmes, hand pass to Duncan, screws it back towards the 50. Hawkins trying to knock it away from Oliver, now Jackson over the footy, sliding in. Oliver knocks it boundary side to Langdon, who has to screw it over his shoulder, up towards half-back, Harms and Cameron there. It's over the boundary line and out on the full. Cameron used his body well just to get that extra inch to make sure it was over the line. Geelong will reload it right half forward, leading by 10.
Another one, Berkey. You're running out of fingers and toes at the moment.
Is in touch with that white line, moving down the field, world record pace.
Short kick from Cameron is good to Duncan. He flares it. It's a helicopter across attacking 50. Bounces on its way to Menegola, who got it to O'Connor, had a slip at the final moment, was able to slap the ball to the advantage of Smith. He ran out of space as Brayshaw closed him down and out of bounds in the left forward pocket for the Cats.
Very lucky play. Geelong had 4 players all within the vicinity of each other, 5 metres, and not one Melbourne player, and it was just a poor kick. Melbourne are really second gear here. Oliver can't get involved this quarter.
Cats deep in attack. Blitzhouse doing the ruck against Jackson. Selwood tries to knock it on. Got it to Menegola. Kicks a high ball inside 50. Cameron underneath it wrong. Came charging out. Spoils it to the front. Myers got it to home. Space opens up. Snaps on the right. Great finish. maximum impact. As Geelong all of a sudden have the biggest lead of the match. 16 points at the 12-minute mark of the third term. They've kicked 2 goals to none in this term. 7-10-52 to Melbourne 5-6-36. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
You can see the dew has really rolled in, as cold as it's got, and it's just going to be like a wet weather game, and that was like that whole passage of play until the class of home. So yeah, that 16-point lead is going to be a massive one with what the conditions are like now.
Melbourne have got 8 players who haven't touched the ball this quarter, and some important ones like the Harms and Spargo and Neil Bullen and Pickett and Bowie and Jordan and Fritsch haven't touched the ball this quarter, and there's another 5 of them that have only touched it once. So they're really getting carried by a few at the top, with Hibberd with 5 and Langdon with 3 and Salem with 3, but their prime movers aren't touching the ball either.
Key period for the D's to stay in touch with the Cats in this one from the centre square. Atkins, lovely pick up. Kick around the body. It'll land at the top of 50. Cameron couldn't quite get to it. Paddled in front of himself. In fact, shinned it too far out of bounds over on the Hickey Stand side. Out for a boundary throw in, 70 from the Cats' goal.
And you look at the Cats, there's only Hawkins and Close, the only 2 that haven't touched the ball this quarter.
11-4, the centre bounce clearances Geelong's way, so they've certainly done their homework on that area of the game. Blitzhouse wins down the tap against Jackson, got it to Dangerfield, hand pass to Selwood on 50, kicks towards Rowan. Hibberd made body contact and clears the pack. Jordan's there to help. Hand pass to Hibberd for Melbourne. Dribbles a kick around the boundary line. Bedford goes over the top of Hughes. The umpire says throw it in. 45 metres out from the Cats' goal.
I thought Rowan was in the box seat to take that one then. Must have just drifted over his head, but it was a good kick to his advantage, but well done by Hibberd to make body contact.
Yeah, not give the free kick away. Did exceptionally well in that one-on-one. Toss back into play. Hawkins tries to grab it out of the ruck. Bowie at ground level. Hand pass to Viney. He had to paddle it to himself. So was the umpire deeming that prior? Not quite. He let it go. Bowie ripped it out of his hands, kicked it to a dangerous spot. Pick it into one-on-one here with Duncan. They're wrestling for it. Just gets in front of both of them. Then Lever comes through. He's grabbed immediately. And the ball will be tossed up. 55 from the D's goal.
Yeah, it just... everything's falling in Geelong's lap at the moment because Melbourne can't get clear, and even when they do, they've got nothing forward, no structure at all forward.
Jackson punches it out of the ruck, only as far though as O'Connor. Hand pass to Menengola, snap inside 50. It bounced over the head of May. Bowie was there to lend assistance. Hand pass to Lever, to May by hand. He snaps out of defensive 50, out of bounds on the full. Another one, Berkey.
I'm running out of ink in my pen.
70 around from the Cats' goal. There are magnets in that stand, surely.
We'll actually see if he finds a target, because
he does. O'Connor.
Yeah,
as Menengola goes short.
Gone to sleep, Melbourne.
O'Connor 70 metres out from goal, puts it to the corridor. Cameron's in the pack, can't take the mark. Blitzhouse crumbs it. Petty and Jackson lay the tackle on him. And a ball up 35 metres out from the Cats' goal. The construction end or the freeway end at Godinia Park. It's Geelong leading by 16 points. Hawkins doing the ruck work against Jackson, tries to slap it down, but straight to Viney. Fumbled it. Dangerfield throws it onto the boot and misses to the right. He's had a few shots on goal, Paddy D, tonight. He hasn't been able to strike truly. 4 behinds as the Cats lead by 17 points. Salem brings it quickly in and finds Langdon in the back pocket.
It's another stoppage easily done by the Cats.
Langdon, high kick. Marking almost from behind was Brown. In front is De Koning, who's taken about 6 or 7 metres forward in the tackle. And the umpire will eventually ball it up a couple of metres inside the boundary line.
Clearance is 32-21 in favour of the Cats.
Right half forward for the Cats. Petrarca's stripped of it. He goes in for a tackle. Hand pass, though, comes the way of Duncan. Oh, he missed. Hawkins going inside 50. You'd normally put that one down in the book. Now pushed off it was Cameron. Petty in there, clearing kick, but it might be coming straight back. Blitzarves. Well, if he didn't take the mark, probably should be a free. No. Surely had his arms chopped in that contest.
It was either a mark or an arm chop.
That's exactly what I thought, Berkey, but it'll be tossed in nonetheless. Right half forward for the Cats.
Geelong locals don't like that one as it's thrown back in. Blitzaz and Jackson bounce into each other. Ball spills clear. Cam Guthrie picks it up. Hand pass to O'Connor. Kicks towards half forward. Dangerfield back with the flight courageously as Bowie was coming the other way. Comes off Dangerfield's hands and goes out of play for a boundary throw-in.
Melbourne are losing the clearances, but they're doing nothing different. They're still in attack mode. They're not thinking, you know what, we're getting beaten here. We might need to just man up for a little bit. It's just not in their DNA.
34-21 Geelong's way, so it's a significant clearance number, which Melbourne are dominating. Geelong are dominating 11-4, the centre bounce clearances as well.
At some point you have to say, you know, it's not working for us tonight. Let's just shut them down and beat them one-on-one. But as I said, that's not the way Melbourne play. Their midfielders really don't have a defensive bone in their body.
Thrown back in, Blitzouts palms it straight down. Petrarca can't get a disposal away. Langdon inside the defensive 50. Hand pass picked off by Dangerfield. It bobbles around. Menengola. Atkins tries to volley it inside 50. Hawkins can't quite link up with Cam Guthrie. Now Langdon has to deal with it over the footy. Footy locked up with Close, and then Atkins involved. Tom Hawkins slides in. And he's on the very bottom of the pack, the biggest cat of them all.
It's living in the Geelong's 50-metre line. It says only 11-6, but I reckon it's been in there for a good, I reckon half the time.
It was 5-1 at one stage in favour of Melbourne. Now it's 11-6 in favour of the Cats.
Hawkins toes it out of the ruck. A couple of Melbourne players asking for deliberate as it trickled over the boundary line. Ball to be tossed in. Umpire was having none of it. Feels like they should be about 5 or 6 goals up. The margin is still only 17 points. Toss back into play. Hawkins worked his way to the front, but couldn't win the tap. Now to Langdon. Hand pass to Viney, and Viney missed his target from a couple of metres away. Harms, and it's out of bounds again. It's hanging on that side of the ground as well. Right half forward here for the Cats. Another ball in.
Whenever the ball spills, it's always the Cats outnumbering the Demons. And if the Demons get 2 there, there's generally 4 there. The Cats just working harder.
Toss back in, Blitzouts one down the tap. Dangerfield one in front of Viney. Hand pass to Isaac Smith. 50 out. Beautiful kick off the boot. The ultimate wingman strikes from just on 50. And don't the Cats love that as they come and celebrate with him. The 3-time Premiership Hawk now doing his best work in the hoops. And an important goal, which all of a sudden, 3 goals to none in this third term, has the Cats out by 23 points and presenting as a fair challenge for Melbourne to try and climb. 8-11-59 to the Demons, 5-6-36. And after Mick Malthouse pointed out the territory battle, finally the Cats getting some reward for it.
And it's not just the Cats winning the clearances and banging it forward. Their outer ring around the stoppage, and that's what Smith just did then. He let Dangerfield do all the hard work around the contest, just sat on the outside. His play got sucked into the contest, and you give him time and space on his left foot and he's going to punish you every single time. So the setup around the contest, not just winning the actual stoppage, is excellent by the Cats.
I can feel a little break here. The Cats. Gorn in the middle now for the D's. Hand pass to Harms, to Oliver, to Viney, back to Harms. Now the kick. Great smother from Duncan, who ricochets to Dangerfield, who's away on the wing. Short kick is going to be okay. Rowan dropped what he should have taken. Regathered at ground level. Tried to shrug a tackle. Might have caught one high in the end. He did from Oliver, who has a laugh. He'll get to his feet, Rowan. Free kick inside the centre square. Chance here to go deep inside 50 again for the Cats. Has Duncan short, ignores that, goes low instead inside 50. Cameron, good spoil by Petty, close, tackled, and he's going nowhere. Locked up, still inside attacking 50. It is living down there for the Cats in this term. 20 minutes played third quarter, margin 23 points in favour of Geelong.
Thrown up, Gorn wins down the tap. Viney tries to dive on the footy, has to try and knock it clear, boundary side. Brayshaw picks it up, hand pass around the line. It's out of play in front of Salem for a boundary throw-in.
And if I said to you that Geelong are nearly 4 in front and said that Cameron and Hawkins haven't kicked a goal, you'd go, no, you're looking at the wrong game.
Yeah.
But it's just well distributed, the Cats. Pressure's off the main ones and others are jumping up.
Stanley and Gorn took out each other. The umpire didn't blow the whistle. Now Neil Bullen's tackled. Stuck underneath he and Holmes, and the umpire will ball it up. So 7 individual goal kickers for the Cats mix, so they've spread the load. And 4 for the Demons. But as you say, Cameron and Hawkins haven't fired.
From the ball up, Stengel leads the race. Ball was not clear. He's tackled strongly, goes to ground. Umpire says he'll have it. Metre inside the boundary underneath the Reg Hickey stand.
Well, there's just no run from the D's. They're bogged down, and when they do get it, they give it straight back to their opponents.
Gawn down to Langdon. Langdon a blind hand pass over the top. Oliver running the boundary line, ran out of space. And then questions his teammate as well. Pretty animated in his discussion there with Ed Langdon. They're still continuing the discussion as they assume their positions for this boundary throw-in. Toss back into play. Gawn wrenched out of it. Now, surely that was a free kick a quarter ago. Neil Bullen, hand pass to Gawn, and he hand passes to Salem. Quick kick away, Jackson. This is where they are breaking down, and it's happened again, although Pickett soccers it forward. Sparrow slides in, just got his handball away, wrenched it free to Neil Bullen, keeps it low and delivers a much-needed goal for the D's. 22 played, third term, Grandstand AFL. Melbourne, with their first goal of the third quarter, closed the margin back to 17 points. 6-6-42 plays Geelong 8-11-59. Your experts, Mick Malthouse and Nathan Burke.
Well, they broke, and they broke short. If they had I know this sounds ridiculous, but if they had have gone long, Geelong had numbers deep. What happened was it wasn't a long kick. Melbourne players were able to fill the little gap up that was between 10 and 15 metres, and by filling the gap up, then they found a player short with a long hand pass out, and they were able to do it. If that kick had have gone deep, it was, again, would have been gathered by Geelong. So this is the first time it's actually fallen Melbourne's way, and they made the most of it.
Cosy Pickett with a crucial touch involved there. He doesn't get a stat for it, but was allowed some space to open it up for Sparrow, who then gave it to Neil Bullen. Back in the middle. Stanley wins down the tap against Gawn. Whistle from the non-officiating umpire, a hold, and it's going Melbourne's way. Christian Petrarca to take it.
Yeah.
Just to the left of the centre circles against Cam Guthrie. He looks to bang it long inside 50. Where are the high flyers? Gawn trying to nudge O'Connor underneath the footy. It's punched away towards the attacking 50 for Melbourne. Bowie, hand pass to Viney to Brayshaw, goes wide, too wide for Jackson. And it rolls out of play in front of Heat and Henry for a boundary throw-in. Demons have it inside their attacking 50, but they struggle to deliver it with too much purpose tonight.
Yeah, that would have been better off if he had it just straightened up. He probably could have knocked it over from 45, Brayshaw, just unselfishly looking for a teammate, but poor kicking.
40 from the D's goal. Toss back into play. Jackson won it down straight back into the congestion. Oliver looking to farm a hand pass out. He did get it free. Was it a high tackle on Neil Bullen? Not quite. Umpire says he'll have it wrapped up. Was a hint of high as he went to ground to collect the ball. Ball to be thrown up now. Jackson and Stanley. Stanley won it, kicked it long, 1-on-1. Rowan v May. Rowan split the contest. May had support though through Hibbert. Hand pass to Petty, hand pass to Salem. He keeps it low. Sparrow fell over at the vital moment. Now a chance for Geelong off halfback. Tui gathers. Hand pass to Zach Guthrie. He turns it over. Salem on the wing has the ball. Another one of those turnovers you've spoken about, Mick, all night.
Oh, well, maybe it is. Look, Tim said it's Dewey downstairs, but players are used to... I mean, this is a perfect ground, so there's no real excuse. If you underkick, this is what happens. And that's an underkick.
So Hibbert kicks up to the attacking 50. Henry takes an uncontested mark.
He's done it all night, Salem. Every one of his kicks has been pulled. I don't know whether his knee... And you do that generally if you're protecting something. Now, he's come off a knee ages ago, but...
Henry back to Tui, switches play, and Holmes marks at left half back. One of 3 goal scorers for the Cats. He turns it over, looking for Cameron. Bedford's onto it, runs to 50, kicks for Fridge, worked underneath it, it might bounce through, and Bedford's going to kick an unintentional goal. Melbourne will take them anyway, they'll come in the moment. And all of a sudden they've strung 2 on the trot together to close the gap to 11 points. Melbourne 7-6-48 to Geelong 8-11-59. 26 minutes gone, third term. Toby Bedford, so often used as the medical sub, getting his chance to shine tonight.
Well, contested positions, Berkey, 29-21. First time Melbourne has any big stretch from Geelong one. So they had to hold firm in that first 10 minutes of that quarter, but the game just has opened up just a little bit, and all of a sudden it's a bit of speed, and it's very distinctive that the Melbourne speed has got them back in the game. Now, it might have been a fluke goal, but nonetheless, it was a shot on goal with a player running back towards the goal. So Maybe that speed factor is now starting to enter into it.
Yeah, and if Geelong keep turning the ball over in the midfield and kicking it back to them, Melbourne will punish you.
D's making their move. Stanley won it down. Oliver there to Rove, though. Hand pass to Viney, who's taken immediately by Cam Guthrie. Going nowhere as he was backtracking. The ball to be tossed up at centre-half forward for the Cats.
Well, that's another one of Oliver. Geelong reading the play. He's going to hand pass it.
Stanley won it down against Gawn. Hand pass comes to close. High kick inside 50. Dangerfield over the top. Crash the pack. Brayshaw there to Rove. His kick is smothered. Smith the hand pass out towards Dangerfield. He got a hand pass away to Close, who turned it over by hand. To Lever, to Petty. And now to Petrarca, rather. Petrarca pulls his kick, and he's turned it over as well. To Holmes. Stengel in the forward pocket. Snapped. It was touched on the way through. It's not going to make it. Lever did well to double fist it to the advantage of May, who gave it to Brayshaw. Had a fumble. Hand pass to Petrarca. Rush kick out. Bounced on its point. Duncan rode the tackle well. Got the hand pass away. Now turned over by Stanley. It's back and forth this one. Sparrow pushed off his kick. Henry, courageous mark. Running back with a flight. And he'll settle things down on the wing.
Well done, Maisie. Take a breath. How desperate are both sides in this third term. Moments that could turn into something, but for the moment are turning into nothing. Menangola has it at centre-half back. Through the middle to Cam Guthrie. He takes the mark on the back edge of the centre square. Cats leading by 11 points, but Melbourne with the last 2 goals of the match. Guthrie looks out. Menangola runs into space under the red chicky stand. Up to half forward where Blitzabs takes the mark. Hand pass to Smith running past. Petrarca almost got him, forced the hand pass forward to Selwood. Nowhere to go. He fends off Neil Bull and kicks inside 50. Awkward bouncing ball for Hawkins. He gathers. May throws him into the turf. Hand pass back to O'Connor on 50 for the Cats. To Isaac Smith. He squares it up and to Koning's push forward. He marks on 50, pokes it to Cameron. And eventually Jeremy Cameron gets the footy in his hands. And the Cats had to work hard as they switched it from one side of the ground to the other. And Koning could have had the shot himself, but unselfishly found the man leading the Coleman medal. Slightly left of centre. Kicking from about 35 metres out. Jeremy Cameron comes in and he misses to the right-hand side. You wouldn't believe it, having waited so long to finally get a mark on the lead. Cats lead by 12 points.
He's got to kick through those when they just walk in slowly and just try and lob it over the line. Kick it 20 metres over the goal line. There's a fair chance it's going to go through then.
May works the 1-2 with Brayshaw, then flares it out wide by foot. Salem takes the mark, metre inside the boundary line. Low kick, looking for Brown. Punched away from him. Smith, front and centre, roved. Just got his hand pass away. Oliver onto it for the D's, rather. Cam Guthrie, kick inside 50, comes away of Brayshaw. Quick snap out of there. It's coming back to Cam Guthrie, who then is pushed off his kick. Got it inside 50, but lacked any penetration. Petty takes the easy mark on his chest as the Cats were wrong-footed.
Cats by 12 points. Matt Klitsch and Andrew Mays calling the action. Mick Moldhouse and Nathan Burke, your experts. Tim Hodges on the boundary. Kicks up towards Gawn. Can't take the mark. Bedford front and centre. Knocked it back to Gawn. Run down by Menangola. He stepped over the boundary line.
Oh, how did he get
says throw it in.
He either threw it over the line or handballed it over the line. One of the two.
He had a target too. It's surprising, Big Max. He's had an easy hand pass target.
Yep, still hasn't taken a mark for the whole game.
Unless he was across the line. I don't know how that was not seen as insufficient intent to keep it in. From the throw-in, Blitzhouse works it over the back. Selwood, hand pass to Duncan, kicks inside 50, and Brayshaw, as he does so well, takes the intercepting mark for Melbourne, switches to Hibbert, who backpedaling, just takes the mark inside the boundary at left half-back.
Yeah, well, they're not scoring from here. They can have 10 to 12 possessions, but reality is Geelong have just put a wall up and they just can't penetrate it.
Short kick to Viney. I'm not sure it was meant for Petrarca, that kick from Viney, but it landed on his chest, on the wing, off to the running Langdon. They're now inside 50. Fritsch in a one-on-one. Almost got his way to the front. Was able to gather the bouncing ball. Snap towards goal from 45, all the way to the line. Bedford running back with a flight. Punched away from him and out for a boundary throw-in. So the D's will get a late chance here with less than 30 seconds left on the clock in this third term. Boundary throw-in next to the left behind post. What can they muster from this stoppage?
Well, they probably need to score, bring it under 2 goals in reality.
Thrown back into play. Stanley, double fister. It'll land with Dangerfield, who took his time, snaps it outside of defensive 50. It was off hands and landed on the chest of Cam Guthrie. He flares it by hand to Duncan, who hooks it out wide. Holmes dropped what he should have taken, then had to tow it to himself. Paddles to his own advantage, slips over, then tried to find Smith by knocking the ball towards him. Siren goes. There was a bit scrappy at the end here between a couple of Cats. And they get to their feet. Bit of encouragement there for Max Holmes from a couple of the senior players, Tui and Selwood getting to him very quickly. We're set for a very good finish here. Geelong 8-12-60, leading Melbourne 7-6-48 at three-quarter time. Let's run through the goal kickers for you in Grandstand AFL. For the Cats, Rowan, the only multiple goal scorer with 2. Singles to Duncan, Smith, Atkins, Close, Guthrie and Holmes. For the Ds, 2 to Petrarca and singles to Fritsch, Bedford, Brown, Neil Bullen and Oliver.
Cats kicked the opening 3 goals of the third quarter, got out by 23 points, which was a game-high lead, only for Melbourne to kick the last 2 of the quarter to close the gap to 12 points at three-quarter time. What a great closing stages we're going to have, a thrilling final term. 1 versus 2. Stay with us, Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hello, Costa here. Gardening is great for the whole family, and I want to tell you something that will get the kids in your life growing. It's my brand new podcast, Gardening Buds. Everything a kid needs to know to make their own garden grow. Whether you've got a big backyard, a balcony, or a little pot on a windowsill. Join Kaylee and I for Gardening Buds. Out now on the ABC Kids Listen and ABC Listen apps.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Dangerfield won it in front of Viney. Hand pass to Isaac Smith. 50 out. Beautiful kick off the boot. The ultimate wingman. Strikes from just on 50. And don't the Cats love that as they come and celebrate with him.
Sparrow slides in, just got his handball away, wrenched it free to Neil Bullen, keeps it low and delivers a much-needed goal for the D's.
Holmes marks at left half back, turns it over looking for Cameron, Bedford's onto it, runs to 50, kicks for Fridge, worked underneath and it might bounce through, and Bedford's going to kick an unintentional goal.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Three-quarter time from Cardinia Park. It's the Cats leading by 12 points over the ladder leading Demons. 8-12-60 to Melbourne 7-6-48. Matt Clinch and Andrew Mays calling the action. Your experts Mick Malthouse and Nathan Burke.
Well, Mick, I think the stats for that quarter show that the Cats dominated and they potentially should be further ahead on the scoreboard. Their inside 50s 18-11, tackles 21-15, clearances 14-6. Which is a domination against Melbourne, and marks 29-19. So, in effect, they really should be further ahead on the scoreboard. For Melbourne, one of the things I've always loved about Melbourne is that they used to get great output from, let's call them the bottom 6 players.
Yep, totally agree.
They would always, and they would perform above average. Tonight, you look at it, Pickett with just the 3, Bedford the 4, Spargo 3 possessions, Bowie 8, Neil Bullen just the 11, Sparrows had 9 but just the 1 effective kick. So they're really getting nothing from that bottom group. You look at the Cats and like Gary Rowan's only had the 7 possessions but he's got 2 goals to his name, so he's contributed even with his pressure down there as well. So the team effort from the Cats is far better than the team effort from Melbourne, and when you don't get output from that bottom 6 of Melbourne, the others have to play really well. Petrarca just the 17 possessions. Max Gawn without a mark for the whole, so that their stars aren't carrying the bottom 6 tonight, and that's why we're getting a substandard performance from the D's.
Oh, absolutely. And when you say substandard, it's a highly pressured game, but when players have had room and give the ball straight back to the opposition, it becomes a game that you say, well, this is not top players performing at their optimum, because time and time again, I can understand under pressure. That's what I always say about it's a false, when people say kicking efficiency by the midfielders, you go, yeah, because they're under massive pressure and they quite often just get the ball to the boot. But today we've seen players who just, well, you've been hot on it with the 50 metre, they're out in the fulls for a start off. And then you look at the ones that look totally clear. Petrarca was totally clear at one stage there. I think it was the second quarter. He put it straight in the throat of a Geelong player who, honestly, there wouldn't have been a Melbourne player within 50 metres of him. So you just say to yourself, what's going on? I think the homework done by the Cats, they would have been stung and they would have been thinking, we're a good side. Let's look at the sides that can beat us. Well, Melbourne clearly did last year. Okay, we make sure that they don't outmark us around the ground. Well, that's been fundamental to it. Not let Oliver kick the football. If he's going to get it, make him hand pass. Well, they've done that effectively because he's an 8 and 15 player, and that's well under odds that the way Oliver's been playing this year. In fact, he's been probably one of the best players playing this year. Don't let any of the peripheral players dominate. Well, Geelong's peripheral players are very good. So they've beaten their direct opponent. We still haven't had a goal from the big forwards at the Geelong end, but they've still 2 goals. They've had 20 shots on goal. We've seen a number of being missed. We've seen Cameron just missed one recently. Smith missed one. Then, of course, he kicked the big 50-metre one. But right now, I am amazed that Melbourne haven't adjusted. I don't know who their midfield coach is. Haven't adjusted to the fact that they're getting smashed at every stoppage, and they're getting smashed because of a little feed out the back, and Melbourne are already under pressure because they're no longer defensive.
It's been a very scrappy game, but a game in which Geelong would be totally satisfied with the way in which they've adapted for the Melbourne system. Cats leading by 12 points. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Yeah, the 2 biggest Cats probably of all, Selwood and Dangerfield, both starting this enormous final term on the bench.
He's had 26 disposals, Paddy Dangerfield, 4 behinds, but has had 9 clearances and 587 metres gained. So he's had one of the great clearance games, but has struggled to finish. Into the final term we go. Jackson wins down the tap to Oliver. He's stripped of it. It comes Atkins' way. Kicks inside 50. Petty up, punches it down. Front and centre Rowan. Hand pass to Hawkins. Snaps on the left. Just misses to the right-hand side. Just a tad too much curl on it. Almost the dream start for Geelong. It's a 13-point lead inside 30 seconds of the final term.
Crowd was up, weren't they? You could feel them willing that through.
They start the first 15 seconds of each quarter extremely well.
Maxgood almost had his first mark there. Ball just got over the top of him in the end, and that's no easy feat. Over into congestion. Jackson there to lay the tackle on Cam Guthrie. Wrapped up inside the centre square. Attacking side of it for the Cats. Jackson reaches down. Guthrie sticks a boot in there. Gets it inside 50. Brayshaw leads all comers. Short snap out of there. Bounces off the shoulder of Holmes and out for a boundary throw-in.
Max Gawn doesn't seem to be able to get off the ground. And I reckon his timing now at the ball for marking is off. So that's almost a lost cause. It's better now for him to start to direct the ball around him.
Coming back from that syndesmosis ankle injury where he missed 3 weeks but only 2 games. Jackson follows up his rut where it lays the tackle on Reece Stanley, and they'll do it all once more between wing and half forward for the Cats. Geelong by 13 points. Stanley wins it down. Jackson does the roving. Stripped of it by the Blitzhav's tackle. It spills to Bowie. Kicks a wobbling ball towards half forward. Pickett had it spoiled away by O'Connor. Trying to run onto it Harms. O'Connor could have almost fallen in his back. It spills to Holmes. He gets it to Atkins. Neil Bullen with the tackle. Forces a turnover. Melbourne through Bowie. Hand pass to Brayshaw. Kicks out to Spargo. He marks it right half forward. He's got Harms running hard inside the 50. Goes more central towards Neil Bullen. Racing back Atkins. Did so well. Got a hand to it. Spoiled it down to De Koning. Back to Atkins. His kick is too wide for Myers. And it rolls out of play. Right half forward for the Demons.
That was a good kick by Melbourne. That kick was going in, was perfect. Both Melbourne players looked at each other. Neither went for it. That was the difference. There was just lack of communication and confidence to go for it. That's a shot on goal from 50 metres.
Yeah, it was just the lack of want, wasn't it? Yeah. Neither of them really wanted that ball.
Neil Bullen and shot. Oliver right in the middle of them.
Geelong by 13. Clearance comes the way of Menegola. Slams it on his boot. Got over the defenders. Inside attacking 50. Keeps rolling. It puts Lever under all sorts of pressure. He had to get it. Didn't get rid of it. Tackled straight away. Ball up it'll be. Plenty of Cats players asking for holding the ball. Cameron gets to his feet. It'll be a stoppage instead inside attacking 50.
Yeah, Lever's not great at sidestepping. He either gets it and hand pass it or he's gone.
Tossed up. Jackson won it down, that time to Walliver. Quick kick out of the congestion. Ball bounces on its point. Only as far as Tui, though. Tui hand pass to Menengola on his left. Hugs the boundary line, almost out of bounds. In fact, Rowan just got a fist to it before it went over. So another chance for Geelong. Inside attacking 50 here. 20 metres around from the behind post. Ball to be tossed in after 3 minutes. They lead by 13 points. Final term.
They've had 4-1 inside 50s through that opening 3 minutes. Thrown back in, Hawkins and Jackson. Jackson slaps it down to Viney. Atkins over the top of him. Footy stuck underneath him. Non-officiate umpire saw the high contact on Viney. And eventually he does get the free kick in the right back pocket for the Demons.
Well, the crowd have sparked up a little bit in this last quarter. For a good performance by the Cats, they've been a little bit subdued, but they're into it now.
Jack Viney up towards Max Gawn. Spoiled away by De Koning and Stanley. They see it out of play for a boundary throw-in.
Well, it's worked. It's spoiling in the air and bringing it to the ground. It's really put Melbourne at a disadvantage. They no longer can't take a mark and run past. The ball's already been smashed back. It's well played by Geelong.
Ball thrown in as a couple of D's fans who've made the trip try to get their team going. Gawn smacks it down straight to Menengola. Sold a great dummy. Kicks to the top of the square. Was Hawkins taken without it? Umpire says no. Punched away from him and out for a boundary throw in left forward pocket.
No, I think May was the one that was taken out.
Yeah, I think it should have been free kick against Tommy, if anything.
Yep.
So another stoppage inside attacking 50 for the Cats. Feels like they've had a mountain of them in their second half. Toss back into play. Gawn won it down only as far as Blitzarves, though. Hand pass came the way of Cam Guthrie. Hawkins found space where there wasn't any. The big man snaps towards goal and kicks a ripper. What a way to stand up in the big moment. Tom Hawkins. 5 minutes played. Final term. Grandstand AFL. Geelong 9-13-67. Leading Melbourne 7-6-48. 19 points the margin.
Well, just brilliantly done by Hawkins. I mean, he's a brilliant player.
Yeah.
You can only hold the player down for so long. He does it. He doubles up. He's a forward. He's a ruck. As I say, I think he gives away a lot of free kicks in the ruck without getting free kick. But this one really he wasn't. He just stayed at the ball. And he's such a strong player with the ball.
Yeah, and the worry for me is that the Melbourne midfielders are trudging back to the middle. Petrarca, Viney and Oliver. Two of the Geelong players sprinted off the ground and on comes a completely fresh Selwood and Dangerfield into the middle. Melbourne look tired and the Cats have really worked that rotation well.
Cats with the first goal, the final term, out by 19. Shepherding free kick Geelong's way. Selwood took the free kick from Stanley to Blitzhouse. Over the top to Myers on 50. Kicks into the pocket, bouncing ball for Stengel to deal with. He gathers, turns on the right, snaps on goal and misses to the left-hand side. A minor score, the Cats by 20 points. One thing that has worked has been playing the extra big man in the middle, Mark Blitzhouse, who's provided some great blocks for the Cats to get clearances.
He's come out of defensive 50 quickly, but it's turned over. Luckily, they win it back. Jordan works the 1-2 with Viney. Then his hand pass is knocked down. Myers stuck a boot in there. Oliver not sure where to go. Holds the ball. Got it to Jordan. His hand pass away to Viney. Blind kick to the wing. It's going to be another turnover. Tui. His hand pass is knocked down, though, by Pickett. Then Harms. Harms just wants to knock this forward. He eventually picks it up. Hand passes it to Pickett, who didn't want to pick it up himself. Kicks it into space. Left forward pocket. Sits for Fridge. Dribbles across the face for one behind.
Yeah, and absolutely burnt. Was it Langdon out the far side? Really burnt him. He was totally clear, Langdon. 10-yard square.
7 minutes played, final term. 19 points the margin in favour of the Cats.
And if you kick the ball on the ground when it's dewy, it's not going to turn. It's going to go straight ahead.
Yeah, we had a teammate into the goal square. All he did was look up.
Two into the pocket for Duncan, and now Jed Buse kicks up towards half-back. Viney nudges Henry underneath it, spoils it down. Oliver's hand pass to Petrarca, kicks inside 50. Fritsch and Duncan, it clears them. Here's Cosy Pickett on the left. This time snaps truly. And Melbourne start the climb back. Their first goal of the final term comes at the 8-minute mark of the final term. It's back to a 13-point ball game. Geelong 9-14-68 to Melbourne 8-7-55. Nathan Burke and Mick Moldhouse are with you.
Chaos ball, Berkey. It's one where the forwards don't have to mark it. It just means the ball is in there and it's a clean. The chaos ball is a great ball if you've got good, clean hands. It's the worst ball possibly if you are a double handler. And Pickett's a very good one-touch player.
The worry for me, Pickett's kicked that goal, and James Jordan, who's on the wing, was in the vicinity, gave over and gave him a half-hearted high five. The rest of the Melbourne team just trotted back to their positions. There was no joy, there was no enthusiasm, there was no, come on, we're within touch here, we're 13 points down, let's go.
So what can they do from this centre bounce? Gawn won it down, and Selwood in danger there, just flung his boot at it, and he's got Clayton Oliver clean on the hand there. He is really hurting Clayton Oliver, wringing that hand out at the moment. I'm guessing he's not going to hand pass this one. He's still wringing it as he gets back to the top of his mark. That's in danger. Good call by the umpire. Every day of the week. Long kick inside 50. Gawn gets to the front. Oh, Brown almost took it to the back. Off to Pickett. He's tackled immediately. Good tackle, dispossessed. Zach Guthrie, a hand pass to Myers. Back pocket. Happy to take it over for a boundary throw in next to the behind post. D's into attack. 9 played. Margin is 13 points in favour of the Cats.
Just some breaking news coming through. Boris Johnson up now announcing his resignation. Rolling coverage on ABC News 24 and News Radio. From the throw-in, Pickett sharked it. Hand pass to Petrarca, snaps over his shoulder. It misses across the face of goal out to the right. And a minor score.
Question is, do all those MPs who resigned to force him to resign now say, no, we've changed our mind, we're coming back?
That's beyond my knowledge, Berkey. Cats by 13 points. Melbourne coming hard with a challenge now. Thrown back in. Ben Brown in the ruck in the forward 50 against Blitzavs. Blitzavs got it down to Menengola. Hat past the Dangerfield. Looks up to the wing. Sends it towards Gawn. And Hawkins in from the side. Lever did enough to claim the mark. Almost lost it as he hit the ground, but had enough of it to be paid the mark. Turns boundary side, looks to reload Melbourne inside 50. They bombed it all night. Blitz out, spoils it down towards Dangerfield and Menengola. Menengola pinched it away, tackled by Harms. And the umpire will ball it up 50 metres out from Melbourne's goal.
Bit of a danger time here for the Cats. The Demons are getting some repeat entries. They've got field position. They can't let them get another goal or they will get their tails up.
Gawn rises high, won it straight down to Menengola though. That was a strange looking hand pass to Selwood. He turns it over by hand. Langdon retreats to Brayshaw. Kick inside 50. It'll land in the pocket. Big fist from Henry came from the side. Brown in a 2-on-1. No match for Henry and De Koning on that occasion. And out for a boundary throw-in.
So that to me tells you that the ball's going in badly into Melbourne's zone because Geelong have just repeatedly just smashed the ball out of bounds. They have to bring the ball in far differently to give their forwards a chance.
7-6 the inside 50s. Geelong's way in this final term. Blitzouts won the tap down. Petrarca couldn't get a disposal away. Dangerfield so good around the contest. And Menengola almost brought down by Petrarca. He didn't get a disposal away. He dropped it towards his boot, and I think he got a boot to it, but maybe as it hit the turf.
So the umpires don't play drop kicks?
No, they don't play drop kicks.
Yeah, that was an old school drop kick.
Yeah, just hit the ground and then hit his foot, but no.
They are playing retro round here.
Yeah, should allow flick passes and drop kicks.
Simon Goodwin animated on the bench. That's the type of pressure he feels like Melbourne need in their forward 50. And it's in the hands of Christian Petrarca. He's kicked 2 goals tonight. He's been one of Melbourne's main threats. From out to the right, the Norm Smith medalist with a slow approach through 50. Leans back. Good kick. He's got it. And Melbourne are coming hard. Couple of goals on the trot to close the Cats' lead to 7 points. Christian Petrarca with his 3rd goal. The Demons 9-7-61, trailing Geelong 9-14-68. 12 minutes gone, final term. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Well, one Demon superstar gets the job done on the scoreboard. The other one has just reached both doctors. Clayton Oliver finally succumbs to that hand injury. He's on the bench now with the Docs. That's a right hand that was kicked by Joel Selwood. They're going to have a crack at taping it. I'm not sure. I think he needs scans tomorrow just to work out the extent of the damage there. And there's clearly damage with the way he's writhing in pain. But they are going to try and strap it up and get him back out there.
Berkey, that's a bit better with the enthusiasm around the goal kicker. They come from everywhere.
Yep. Yep, they got a sniff now, the D's. Look out, Cats.
Cats fans know it as well. Perhaps another clearance coming up here for the D's as well. Harms gets out of a couple of tackles. Smart chip over the top as well. Finds Viney, 70 from goal. Kicks to full forward. Brown in front. Didn't take the mark at ground level. Lovely roving there by Neil Bullen. Hand pass to Fred. Should have kicked the goal. He misses. Hooked it back too far in the end. 13 played, final term. Margin back to one straight kick in favour of the Cats.
The last three centre clearances have gone to the Demons and getting first ball use, and it's making a huge difference in their play.
Nathan Burke alongside Mick Malthouse, your experts. Matt Clinch and Andrew Mays calling the action. Tim Hodges on the boundary. Mitch Duncan with the kick in for Geelong. Up to half back. Stanley brings it down. Harms with a big tackle. Locks the footy underneath Brad Close, and the umpire will throw it up. And left half forward for the Demons, who are now within 6 points. Stanley got rid of Gawn. Viney pounces onto it. Looks inside 50. Pickett and Hughes one-on-one towards the boundary. Cozzy's got it. Back with a flight. Incredible mark.
Yeah, it was a great mark. That was a really great mark. So he didn't have the body strength. What he did, he had the guile to be able to get him behind him.
He's going to try and step out and snap, knowing Myers and Zach Guthrie will come charging at him. He fires on goal and hits the left goal post. Just didn't quite get the flight on it that he was looking for. And knowing probably full well they were charging at him, he just overcooked it. Geelong by 5 points. The Demons charging home.
Clearance is 9-7 in favour of the Demons. It's the first quarter that they've been in front.
Long kick here from Duncan all the way to left half back, but no mark taken. Langdon there has numbers, has support. One of them was Lever, got the ball to him. He shoved over for a boundary throw in by Rowan. So ball will be thrown back in. 70 from the D's goal.
Cats need to win this stoppage to give their defenders just a little bit of a rest. Get the ball up their end for a bit.
Coming hard, the D's. Stanley palms it to Selwood, who just slaps it further afield. Now Viney taken in a tackle. Could be holding the ball. Umpire circles and says, no, I'll have it. Just forward of centre wing for the Cats. Quarter of an hour played in this final term. The D's trail by 5 points.
Tossed up. Jackson one down the tap against Stanley. Stengel becomes the tackler. There's nowhere for Harms to go. And we'll ball it up under the ridge. Hickey stand. Centre wing. Cats by 5 points. Stanley knocks it down. Harms rises from the pack. Gathers. Atkins got him. Nowhere to go. Holding the footy. Talk about a battle between two who wouldn't take a backward step. And Tom Atkins won on this occasion as he threw Harms to the turf. And Harms very slow to return the footy. All of a sudden, an inspired choice by Chris Scott to send Tom Atkins into the midfield. Looks to take this free kick on the wing. Kicks inside 50. Cameron with a fly. Can't take the mark. Spills down to Neil Bullen. He dribbles a kick towards the defensive 50. Socket off the ground by Duncan. Out towards Stanley. It's knocked forward by Jackson. Cannon into Rowan. A chance for Myers. Hand pass straight to Sparrow. Gets the hand pass to Spargo. Great desperation from Rowan. The smother. It ricochets to Myers. To Cam Guthrie inside 50. May underneath it. Misjudged it. He knocks it on. It's picked up by Stengel. His kick is smothered. It ricochets out to Cameron. Giving the hand pass back to O'Connor. He runs into a wall and James Harms lays the tackle. And O'Connor gets the benefit of the doubt.
I'd almost pay holding the ball there because he ducked. He lowered himself down there to try and get one over the shoulder. Good umpiring.
Very good decision considering the circumstances. Jackson from the stoppage, or maybe trip was Menengola. Umpire says no. D's come away with it. Now a chance for Bedford, but he left it behind. Swooping on it is Cam Guthrie. Hand pass out wide to O'Connor. Was that high? Yes. That tackle slipped high. Oliver tosses it straight back to him. And O'Connor can drive Geelong inside attacking 50 again. That's where he's going to go. Crowd anticipating this. Dangerfield forced to spoil actually from behind. He was caught behind Lever and will have a ball in left forward pocket for the Cats. 17 played, final term on Grandstand AFL.
And that was well done by Dangerfield. There's a terrible kick inside 50. He did well to spoil it over the line. Now the Cats fans are fired up.
Thrown back in, Hawkinson in the ruck where he tries to emerge with it. Cuts past Viney, hand pass towards Close, got rid of Bowie, left forward pocket, outside of the boot, it's across the face. Rowan underneath it, Hibbert almost juggled the mark. He now has to retreat over the boundary line. And a throw in the right forward pocket for the Cats. How good is this? September and July. Cats by 5 points.
Feels like a cauldron at the moment here down at Kardinia Park. Toss back into play. Stanley from the ruck. Snap towards goal. It bends at the wrong moment for Cats fans. And the gasps as it takes an off break around the goalpost rather for one behind. And the margin is back to one straight kick in favour of Geelong.
Well, Nathan Lyon would have been happy with that one. It was going through. It just turned to the right at the last second to breathe a sigh of relief.
Stephen May brings Melbourne back into play. Long down the middle. Brown got underneath it. De Koning spoils it down. Tackle late by Neil Bullen and Fritsch. And they lock the footy up inside the centre square with Zach Guthrie underneath.
It's good to hear the Cats fans up and about with the Geelong cheer, because they are a bit subdued normally down here for a home crowd.
Stanley down to Selwood, back to Selwood, out past the Cam Guthrie, steadies and finishes. The Cats double their lead, a 12-point advantage at the 19-minute mark of the final term, after Melbourne had kicked a couple on the trot and got within a goal but couldn't get any closer than that. 10-15-75 to the Demons, 9-9-63. Cam Guthrie with his second, a crucial final quarter goal.
Yeah, well, it's always the cream rises to the top. Guthrie's been around that mark for probably the last 5 or 6 years, playing really top quality football. He tends to fall out always underneath, say, a Dangerfield or a Selwood, but I think he's won probably a best and fairest in there somewhere, so the value to the Cats is enormous, and if he falls out underneath them and finishes off like that, I'm sure that they'll be wrapped.
He's had 22 possessions, kicked 2 goals, and Dangerfield's had more, but only 2 tackles. Duncan, no tackles. Guthrie had 7.
Oliver with one hand just tries to get it to Vine. He couldn't do so. Cats come away from the middle. Cam Guthrie's hand pass over the top to Atkins, who slapped it to Smith. Was able to gather. Hand pass forward blindly inside 50. It'll actually get to Cameron in the end, who paddled it in front of himself. Couldn't regain possession though. Viney over the top. Hand pass to Jordan, who's run down from Stengel from behind. Blitzhouse could have taken the advantage. Holds things up. 60 from goal, the Cats. Stengel thinking about a hand pass to Duncan. He dishes it off. Duncan inside the centre square. Into the forward pocket. Intercepting spoil there. Well done by Brayshaw. Cut across Hawkins. Saved the day for the D's. And it's out next to the right behind post.
Well, that's what you want from a small forward, running 25 metres to run a player down from behind. And a great effort by Stengel.
Cats by 12 points and into attack. Hawkins shoved out of it by Gorn. Blitzhouse over the top. It comes to Viney. Back to May. Little fumble. 20 metres out from goal. Kicks towards half back. There's nothing but Cats there. Menengola marks on his chest. And he will take his full 30 seconds.
That's that setup. When the ball's squashed into your forward line, the best thing you can do is layer up outside the back 50. And always judge a 30 metre and a 50 metre, because under pressure you can only kick the ball 30 metres, and that's all that's gone. So poor play Melbourne, great play by the Cats. That's why they're in front.
Sam Menengola in his 4th game back following knee surgery at the end of last season. Veers out to the right, gives it everything he's got. It's going to be just short to the goal line. And Stephen May punches it through. Cats lead by 13 points. 21 minutes gone. Final term.
It's hard to get that back.
Is it too early to say that's a handy point?
No, not at all, Murky. He was thinking exactly the same thing. 21 played final term. Kick intercepted, this time by Atkins. He can go back inside 50 for the Cats. He does. Brayshaw, good spoil on close there. Looked like he was going to swallow it. Then he went again, Brayshaw. Hand pass though straight to Atkins. He fires them inside 50. Taking the mark very low down. Blitzhouse had drifted forward. Gord stuck behind. Blitzhouse takes the slips catch. Just got his hands underneath the footy. And he'll kick from 30, slight angle to the right.
Yeah, Melbourne can't clear the ball. And the pressure that Geelong have created, which is, I'm not going to say unusual, but they really have put massive pressure on the D's. And the structure outside, this is what happens with the rig. When you have it right, you get multiple entries and you get good entries.
This to make it extremely difficult for the D's. Blitzhouse comes in and he misses almost everything in the end, just sneaks it in for one behind. Margin 14 points in favour of Melbourne, who've got to go quickly.
Well, whenever Max Gorner's plopped himself inside 50, Blitzarves or Stanley have gone with him and pretty made him ineffectual for the whole game.
May brings Melbourne back in. Long towards Gawn, Brown and Jackson. Jackson spoils it down, got it to Brown. Hand pass to Sparrow to Petrarca off the outside of the boot. Geelong well set as Tui runs onto it. The loose on half-back. Cannon in by Pickett. He'll get a downfield free kick. As Pickett was deemed late by the umpire as he got the kick away, so Brad Close will take it at right half forward.
Just going back onto when Salem kicks off, you know it's going to be short. He's just not getting a distance. You give it to May. May brings the ball back almost to the wing. I think Melbourne need to address that every time.
Still plenty of time for the D's, but the Cats have just had it locked in their forward 50. Close pokes it over the top, and Hawkins marks. He's still 2 kicks out from goal. It's a congested forward 50, so Hawkins looks inboard, finds Duncan. He's normally a master in this scenario of just finding someone leading boundary side. Mitch Duncan waiting for options to present, goes wide, kicking for Dangerfield, who marks just a couple of feet in from the boundary. He's kicked 4 behinds tonight. This would be the one you wouldn't give him much of a chance at. Starts just in front of the signage, hard out to the right, where the boundary line meets the 50-metre arc. He has had a dominant clearance game. 9 clearances, 28 disposals. It's just the finish that's lacked tonight.
Top of the square. Use your whole 30, top of the square.
Dangerfield from right on 50, sets fly, it won't quite have the distance. It's off a few hands and stays in play. Oliver wanted to give it to May, he didn't realise it bounces into the behind post and a throw in. The Cats will take that, a stoppage inside the forward 50, and a couple of Melbourne's crucial cogs not quite on the same page.
Big moment here for the D's if they're to hang on. They've got to clear this defensive 50. Toss back in. Oliver gave it up. He went again at ground level. Hand pass along the ground. Brayshaw over the top of him. Bit reckless was Dangerfield. Got right in his back. It'll be a free kick to Brayshaw, left back pocket.
Yeah, that's silly by Paddy. That was... Eagerness is terrific, but hold that ball. You don't need the ball kicked out.
So now Brayshaw goes as long as he can to Koning. Was able to nudge Brown underneath it. Couldn't take the mark. Jackson at ground level. Bumped off it. Stanley pokes it through the legs of Oliver. And through the legs as well of Hawkins. And then the setup for Close, who takes the mark. 40 from goal. Almost directly in front. And this would be the final nail in the coffin.
Well, a bit of party time there from Tommy. The ball rolled out to him. He knew he had Cameron behind him, so he just tunnel-balled it under his legs to a waiting Cameron, who I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he saw Close running inside 50.
He gives it off to Duncan, who lets fly from 52 and finishes the job. Mitch Duncan with the winner. And Geelong, they've made a statement tonight. 11 goals, 17, 83 to Melbourne. 9-9-63. The margin 20 points. 26 played final term grandstand AFL.
Yeah, very difficult to see the D's come back. They've had their little runs of 3 or 4 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes per quarter, but nothing as sustained as what Geelong have been able to do. It's 28 shots to 18. It probably tells you more about the number of shots and inside 50s than the general play. Melbourne, what you've said, Berkey, at half-time, three-quarter time, is they'd be starting to think, what about our last 6 players? Are they good enough now to play against sides that can go right down to 18 and 20? Because you can't keep relying on the same 3 or 4 winning the game for them.
The Cats with a chance to be level with Melbourne on top of the AFL ladder. Gawn down to Oliver, gets the clearance, kicks towards half forward. Neil Bullen back with the fly. And Duncan doing it this time at the defensive end. Takes the mark. Out to Cam Guthrie at right half back. He can work it over the top to Isaac Smith in game 250. Ran out onto Canidia Park with his young daughter through the banner. The 3-time premiership Hawk veers out to the left. Kicks towards danger. Flying was Petty. Spoiled it down. Guthrie, that's Cam Guthrie. Hand pass to Atkins. Kicks around his body. Lever wedged in between 2 Cats. Brought it down. Now becomes the tackler on Jezza Cameron. And the umpire will throw it up. Just repeating the breaking news, Boris Johnson has resigned as British Prime Minister. For more information, ABC News 24, News Radio and abc.com.au.
Gawn down to Oliver. Squeezed a kick out of there, only travelled a couple of metres. Close there to mop up for the Cats. Hand pass to Smith, snaps around to keep it close to the boundary. Caught in a 2-on-1 was Rowan, and Lever's able to intercept. Dangerous kick across the face of goal. Intercepted. Stengel, snap, Cream on top. Played final term, and Geelong marching towards a famous victory. 12-17-89. Plays Melbourne 9-9-63, and they'll be able to enjoy the last couple of minutes here, the Cats.
Again, really good defensive work by the small Geelong forwards. Close, hasn't had a lot of the football tonight, but he's just really looked dangerous. When I said he hasn't had a lot of the football, he's had 15 possessions, but hasn't really sort of stood out. Stengel has been really good. He's had the 15 possessions as well. They've just been really lively down there, and they're keeping the ball inside 50, doing their job. So it's whilst the big players, the big men, Cameron and Hawkins, haven't dominated, those guys have certainly carried their fair share of the load up forward and made it a dangerous forward line.
And I think with those last couple of goals, Geelong will draw level with Melbourne, and percentage will put them on top of the ladder. Back in the middle, a chance for Atkins after Melbourne knocked it forward. Got it to Dangerfield, hand pass to Holmes, works it to Cam Guthrie at halfback. Hand pass to Duncan, he veers into the corridor, kicks towards Danger, he takes the mark. Just to the left of the centre circles. He wants to run around Salem. Kicks out towards Selwood at right half forward. A couple of the old firm combining, and now Hawkins on the lead in the right forward pocket. They have just sliced and diced Melbourne with their transition. And Tom Hawkins, who kicked goal in the final term, but he and Jeremy Cameron haven't been the stars of the show. A chance to get involved late.
Well, one thing for certain, he's a slider, so he'll go left to right, which is very, very rare for right footers, but he is one that's done it so often, and I dare say he would have had a lot of shots from that pocket.
Tom Hawkins starts his approach, outside 50, veers out to the right, strikes it towards the right goal post. It's the wrong side, right all the way, and a minor score. Geelong by 27 points. We'll play 30 minutes in the final term.
Ball kicked in quickly. Jordan takes it. Jordan looking centrally. He pulls the trigger as well. It's a good kick. He finds Brayshaw at centre half back. Switches play across the right half back. Mark is taken by Langdon, who's called to play on. He chips back into the centre square. Brayshaw takes it. Looking for the quick hand pass. He gives it to May, who was running around the back. Now can go long on his left boot. That's a poor kick. Cut off by Buse, who could have gone immediately where Rowan was all alone at left half forward. Instead stopped, paused, chipped it over the top to Duncan, who goes further afield to Close. Hand pass over the top to Selwood. They'll love this. Unselfish instead to the top of the square. Rowan did everything but take the mark. In fact, he's paid a push. Front on contact, and he'll get the free kick. 15 metres out, slight angle to the left.
Well, the disposal of Melbourne has been atrocious for most of the night, and it's, I know you've got to weave your way through a defence, but Geelong play a 3-3-3 across the line because I know it's so narrow. Melbourne have made no adjustment whatsoever and coughed it up again by just really repeat offences.
Gary Rowan with a brilliant snap in the third term. This for another in the fourth. Lines up and misses. Poor kick. 20 out, slight angle to the left.
There's Gary Rowan for you. He's kicked 2 goals tonight. I was just about to say, he's done a great job tonight kicking 3 goals, and he misses that one.
May long down the middle looking for Brown. He can't get there, and Jeremy Cameron takes the mark. He slowly pushes back behind his mark. Hasn't kicked a goal tonight. Tom Hawkins has kicked one late in the final term. Out to Duncan and now to Zach Guthrie. They might just hold the tempo for a moment with Melbourne having everyone behind the ball. So Duncan back to Tui inside the centre square. Geelong by 28 points. To Buse, who marks behind the centre circles. Now out to the Hickey stand wing where Cam Guthrie takes the mark. Cats fans will be loving all of this as he goes short to Jeremy Cameron, and the siren is about to sound, the sweetest sound for Geelong, as they down Melbourne at Canidia Park by 28 points. and take their spot on top of the AFL ladder. We'll see you in September. The Cats, winners by 28 points.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark, down at Gardenia Park.
The Cats led by 2 points at quarter time, by 4 points at half time, and then by 12 points at three-quarter time. It was an arm wrestle of a third term in which the Cats put 3 goals to Melbourne's 2-2. At one stage, Geelong got out by 23 points before Melbourne closed to win in 11. And then the Demons got within a goal in the final term before the Cats answered with the last 3 to run out 12-19-91 to the Demons, 9-9-63.
We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark, down at Gardenia Park.
So Geelong and Melbourne are now 12-4 after 17 rounds, and with that 28-point victory, the Cats get a superior percentage, 136.1 to Melbourne 133.4. So the ageing Cats replace the Demons on top of the AFL ladder. Sets up for a mouth-watering closing stages of the home and away season and what might come beyond that. For Geelong, 2 goals to Duncan, to Rowan and to Cam Guthrie. Individuals to Smith, Holmes, Stengel, Hawkins, Atkins and Close. They had 9 individual goal scorers. For Melbourne, 3 to Christian Petrarca. Individuals to Bedford, Oliver, Neil Bullen, Fritsch, Pickett and Ben Brown. The Cats winners by 28 points in front of 21,501 fans. The thoughts of Mick Moldhouse and Nathan Burke on ABC Sport.
Well, Burke, I reckon we've seen, it's funny, I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago and put down who are the 8 sides or 10 sides that were genuine contenders. And I left Geelong to last by saying that for too long they've been written off as too old, too slow. But experience is a wonderful thing if it's used correctly. Depth is outstanding if you've got enough good players that can replace players, and we've seen Tom Stewart, who I thought was probably the most influential player right throughout the year. When I say replaced him, I didn't have to replace him because Henry was out injured, then come back in and has been outstanding since he's come back in off a foot injury. Dangerfield's been out a few weeks, come back, and probably, I don't know who's doing the votes, but I'd give him best on the ground. I thought he was outstanding. There's only 1 goal kick between the main forwards. All the rest, 9 goal kickers against arguably one of the best defensive sides of the competition. They made them look slow.
The Demons and the Cats have just gathered below our broadcast position, and Isaac Smith in game 250, fittingly with a footy in his hands, is being chaired off by Patrick Dangerfield and Mitch Duncan. The 3-time Premiership Hawk who had the decision between joining the Demons and the Cats. He's such a lively character, the country kid, who now is at home at Geelong. And he's got the footy in which they played with in his hands, so that'll be hard to dislodge from his, no doubt, memorabilia stash at home. Sorry, Mick, I'll allow you to continue with your thoughts.
Well, I just think they're the real thing. They had a decision to make last year. They got smashed again in the preliminary final. They lost the grand final the year before. They have a lot of older players, and I always say about the older players, tear up your birth certificate. It's got nothing to do with it. It's how you go around, how you get around them. You can argue all you like. Probably last year they made a decision on Lockie Henderson, who, for all intents and purposes, had a good year. Perhaps could have gone again, but he holds back to Conning. So they bring Conning into the side, who again has had a what I would call a quiet night, but his opponent kicked 1 goal. So he's had a very good night. He's added youth to them. Stanley has stood up against the duo of Gawn and Jackson. Now, whether he does that all the time, because those players probably needed a game under their belt, but to have 31 shots on goal, and you have Cameron kicked 1 and Hawkins, I don't think he kicked a goal, or vice versa.
Hawkins kicked 1, Cameron didn't kick it.
So, I mean, that's a remarkable effort. And given the fact that now we're only 6 weeks away, if this was early in the season, I'd say, well, let's hold on a bit. But with 6 weeks to go, plus a bye, you'd almost suspect now that the Cats can mix and match a little bit, get anyone who's a little bit sore, keep out of the side. They've got very good replacement players. It's their secondary line that I like. You have a look. I'm not a great fan of Rowan, but he jumps up and kicks 2 goals. To Connie, we've already said Zach Guthrie's been hounded a bit over his career. O'Connor, we know, can play in the midfield if he needs to. Jack Henry's just a wonderful player. Now, these are the players I'm reading out who have had the least number of stats, and stats are very misleading. Stanley, I thought, was outstanding, 10 and 3. Bliswell as well, we know what he's like, 2 and 12. He made sure that no one took a big mark. And I think, Berkey, it'd be fair to say, Max Gordon, I'll have a look again, but I don't think he did take a mark.
0
marks. And it's just not one player. You don't say, to one player, listen, don't let him mark. What you say is, don't let any of their forwards take a mark in the pack. Make sure this ball is belted to the ground and distance. If it doesn't fall to the ground, that means the midfielders then are out of position, so they can't contribute whatsoever. So I thought the tactics today of Geelong were profound and will have a massive effect on the psyche of Melbourne going forward, because if they meet each other again, Melbourne will have to change, not Geelong. And that's big with 6 games to go into a final series.
It's a 7th consecutive win for the Cats, Berkey, which goes back to round 9 against the Saints. So they're on a run now, which suggests that they're starting to hit their straps. They don't have a lot of injuries. Obviously, Tom Stewart is missing, but it does legitimise what they've been trying to build, no doubt. An off-season which ended on a disappointing note, belted by the Demons by 83 points, and they showed today they'd spent their time working on that.
Absolutely. That was a masterclass on how to beat a good team. And one aspect I love, and we mentioned that Max Gordon only took 1 mark. What odds would you give me this at the start of the game? There's only 2 players out of the whole 36 not to take a mark, and Max Gordon would be one of them. The other one was Sparrow. Every other player took a mark on the ground. And Melbourne only had 67 marks compared to Geelong's 103. And Geelong didn't overuse the ball and just chip the ball around and get a lot of cheap marks. They did in the last 30 seconds, but they used the ball really proactively through the ground. What I loved is that they didn't concede anything to Melbourne. Every single time Melbourne wanted to use the ball by foot, they put pressure on the receiver, and they ended up, by doing that, they intercepted a lot. They turned the ball over a lot in dangerous areas, went forward and didn't always score, but held the ball up their end of the ground. And I love it when teams never concede. There's too many football teams these days that go, you know what, yeah, you can have that kick. Yeah, you can have that kick. Geelong didn't do that today, and that's why Melbourne only took 67 marks for the whole game, which I thought was outstanding coaching and also outstanding sort of fulfilment of what they wanted to do out there on the ground. So well done there by the Cats, which was a really impressive effort. But I think that you're right. The Cats, they've got great forwards, they've got great defenders, they've got a great midfield. What more do you need in order to be a great team?
They take back their home patch, having lost in the final round of the home and away season. Max Gordon after the siren in front of no crowd. There was certainly a different feeling tonight. Cats win us by 28 points down to the Geelong rooms with Tim Hodges.
It's a massive crowd down here. Big family club. All the families are down here. Jeremy Cameron, the last in. And the Cats will sing the song for the 12th time this year. Yeah, so it's all the families. It's the AFLW program. They are all down here as well. So it's a fantastic turn up. And I can tell you, Cam Guthrie is going to come straight over to us. Hello, Cam. We're live on ABC Grandstand. Thanks so much for joining us. That was an intense 3 hours. What's the feeling right now?
Yeah, it's really good. We've been looking forward to this game. Melbourne are a great team, and I think they showed that tonight. I think both teams were really up for the fight, but yeah, we managed to get over the line, which is which is great moving forward for the confidence. We know we can mix it with the best teams, and that's what they've been this year.
Is it a dumb question? What does this win mean? It's July. It felt like September out there with the intensity, but after what they did to you 3 times last year, is it just really satisfying to actually get the win?
I think last year's done and dusted. I think we're all about this year. As I kind of said, we know where we can mix it with the best teams. Coming into the game, we knew we could, but I guess it's good reinforcement.
Cam, so good to come over to join us straight out of the song. I'll send you upstairs. We've got Mick Malthouse and Nathan Burke.
Cam, if I could just come in there, congratulations on your game too, mate. It was absolutely outstanding the way you went about it. Did you have a job before the game? Did it change from what you've been doing in the past, just you personally?
Yeah, I think that was Mick, thank you. Well, I think we knew that their midfield really gets them going, Viney, Petraka and Oliver. So our midfielders really set ourselves to, I guess, we wanted to take them on. We wanted to defend them when it was time to defend, but really match them in the contest and take the ball forward ourselves when we could. And I think we did that. They did it to us at times as well, and they looked dangerous. But I think I guess momentum throughout the game, I felt like it was our way a little bit more, which was satisfying. Oh,
well, your clearance rate was outstanding, quite frankly. If I had come here before the game and said that you'd 54 to 36, I think people would look at you and go, no, not with the midfield that they've got. No, I just thought that you guys were exceptional there. I know you don't want to give away a lot, but it just appeared to me, and I don't know if you know this, but Max Gawn didn't take one mark, and it just looked like all the big boys in your side were told, or certainly got together and made sure that nothing in the air was going to be marked in a pack. It looked like it was going to be spoilt wide, so none of the midfielders could actually get to it. It was going to be always a contested football, no matter where it was. Was there any emphasis put on that at all? Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought our big guys, Reece, Blitz and DK, was super in the air all night. I think Max has come back from a little ankle, so that might have had something to do with it, but yeah, it's really great when we can, I guess, limit their marks, and that really limits their momentum, spoil it wide, no soft drops, and we were able to run on and get some possessions off that. And Paddy Dangerfield, his game, how would you rate that, given that you were playing right next to him, given that he's also had a few weeks off, carrying that calf injury? Yeah, I was a little bit worried about his explosiveness coming back, but the first bounce last week kind of showed that he wasn't lucky in that, and I think now we'll just build a bit of game time, build some confidence, get his body back, and attack the last little bit of the year. Yeah, well done.
Cam, Nathan Burke here, outstanding tonight, mate. Congratulations.
Thanks, Berkey.
9 goal kickers. There's a lot of things to like about tonight, but when you've got only Tommy kicking 1 and Jeremy not getting on the scoreboard, and you still beat the top team, that must be something that I'm sure you've discussed during the week about. Really shared the load tonight. Yeah, we did. But I also think that shows the quality of their defence. They would put a lot of work into Hawk and Jez, but yeah, it was great that a few others could pop up. We could put some scoreboard pressure on. They kind of came, I think, late in that third and close it up a little bit, but to kick away again in the last and give ourselves some breathing space was great. And that's 2 games now, this one and the Tigers, where you've been challenged late and you've been able to rally and run out the game better than those really good sides. So again, that must... Is it a fitness thing? Is it a determination thing? Is it a combination of everything that enables you to do that? Yeah, possibly a little bit. I think it's been that kind of season. Momentum has been huge. It's kind of been shown when teams get out to a fast kind of first quarter, but teams can reel them back in, and when the ball starts going your way and a few bounces go your way as well, it goes a long way to deciding the game. So I think we stayed on task tonight and really rallied when it counted.
Cam Guthrie's with us on ABC Sport. Cam, it's Matt Clinch. Obviously 7th win on the trot, so you're building some nice momentum. You touched on not focusing too much on last season, but I am interested, what sort of preparation had you put into Melbourne, especially given you dominated the clearances and dominated the inside 50s, and it seemed like there were some really set tactics as to how you were going to try and deal with what Melbourne brought?
Yeah, it's good, Matt. We had a little bit of an interesting week. We had a short break coming off the Kangaroos game, so we didn't do too much out on the training track, but I think we really zeroed in on what makes us a really good team and what, what makes them dangerous. And for the midfielders, that was them getting first possession and taking it forward. I thought our defenders pressed really well when they had to and stopped their run. We managed to convert some goals. So I think it went to plan tonight. Not everything went our way, but as I kind of said before, it was good to rally when we needed to.
What's the key to the pressure? Obviously, you had so much of the territory battle. Were you worried at any stage that you weren't going to get the full bang for your buck and actually to score in the way in which you were dominating the contest?
Yeah, possibly a little bit. When you put some hard work in and you get it forward, but you don't quite capitalise, it can be, I wouldn't say demoralising, but it feels like a bit of a missed chance. Scoreboard pressure is kind of everything. So if we can really take our chances, I thought we ran a few in Closey's goal. We kind of ran almost to the goal line and really gave ourselves some great looks throughout the game.
Cam, Isaac Smith's 250th game tonight. A bit strange if you thought 4 or 5 years ago he was going to be chaired off in his 250th down at Geelong in a Cats jumper. But just tell us about his impact on the club and what he's brought.
Yeah, very true. I think he's really brought his unique strengths to the club. He's a great runner. I think he's dominating our inside 50s, so we really look to give it to him on the wing, and he likes to pump it inside 50 for us. He's a bit of a character, loves a bit of a joke, so we're really pumped for him, and hopefully he can celebrate at the end of the year and head down to Barnbugle Golf Course. I know he loves it down there.
Cam, Mick Malthouse said you're the real deal on watching what you're able to do today. Does that provide validation to you when you beat a side who's the reigning premier, be it we're still 6 weeks to go till the end of the home and away season, but what does that do for the belief of the playing group? Yeah,
it's nice to hear that stuff, I guess, outside the walls, but I think we've approached this year really confidently. From the start, we really tried to set ourselves up and put ourselves in a position where we'll be able to challenge again, and that's looking like it's going to happen if we can, I guess, run out the last few rounds really well. And we've spoken about really building towards the end of the season, and I think we are still improving as a team, which is a great sign.
And a bit more versatility in the midfield. We've seen Jezza Cameron in there for a few centre bounces. Mark Blitzav's tonight. What was his role specifically?
Yeah, it's good to get Blitz in there. I think he gives us a bit of length. He's hard to tackle when he gets his arms up, and he's good at slapping the opposition's arms and causing spills. He's a really good athlete and plays a bit of ruck, bit of wing, bit of inside mid, so he's a tough matchup, and he just gives us, I guess, a unique look. There's not too many players in the comp like him, and I thought he was really good tonight.
Yeah, he certainly was. As for you, you got the Blues next week, so another great challenge against a side who would back themselves as a great centre clearance team.
Yeah, we've got a nice long break now. I don't think we're on till next Saturday, so rest the body a little bit and look forward to that matchup. They've been going really well.
Absolutely. Cam, we appreciate your time. Enjoy a bit of a break.
Thank you, guys.
Cam Guthrie joining us from the victorious Geelong Rooms, winners by 28 points. He had 28 disposals, including 6 clearances and 9 score involvements alongside 5 inside 50s. And they are just... well, they've got more and more depth in that midfield, don't they, alongside Danger and Selwood and Tom Atkins and now Sam Menengola, who can obviously play across half forward, Mitch Duncan, who's gone now to half back to try and address some of their challenges across other areas of the ground.
And Parfitt.
Parfitt, yeah, who's still missing.
He'll come into the ground. They really go very, very deep. See that when you look at that, say to Melbourne, we said at one stage he was Gawn. Now we know he's maybe not over that ankle, but we know that Gawn that was in there, Oliver, Petrarca and Viney, and that was when they were able to get those 2 or 3 quick goals. But then who goes into the centre? Whereas we know that Selwood and Dangerfield started on the bench in that three-quarter time, meaning that they come on a couple of minutes into the game fresh for the last quarter and hit Melbourne after they've had their big go at it, which they did. Then you've got... Parfitt will come back in there at some stage. I'm not 100% sure on Menengola as that type of player through finals. Duncan can easily be converted from a half back into the midfield because he's a lot taller than what you think. He's good below his knees, kicks the ball a long way. They've just got, right now, this is as good a side I reckon Geelong have had for probably the last 6 or 7 years. And they're fit. And they're healthy, and that's an absolute bonus when you start to look around the traps and you see other sides that have lost 1 or 2 players, won't come back the rest of the year. They've got Stewart to come back in by the end of the year. He'll be fresh. It was an amazing job for him to come back of that ankle injury for a start, or that foot injury. That's a very, very nasty injury, and he come back and, quite frankly, he could have been the first player outside of a midfield to won the Brownlow over the last 20 or 30 years. So they've got him to come back in. The only thing they have to negate, really, is forget about playing here and play on the MCG, because that's where their finals will be basically played. If you finish top or second and the league don't give them a game here, well, the MCG's theirs, and they can play 3 straight. We know where the grand final is going to be this year, and if they can play, or who do they? We know they play Carlton. That won't be at the MCG, I don't think.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Well,
yeah.
So they're the bonuses. Geelong to play at the MCG between now and finals time is a bonus to play at the MCG to get just that little bit of width in their game. They can't defend the ground. Like here, they put 3-3-3 across, and you can't get through it. And Melbourne, they had 18 shots on goal, and basically found it very difficult to get through because they're so disciplined, Geelong. MCG, a bit wider, can get a bit found out, so to play there is a bonus for them.
They did have 4 of their last 7 at Kardinia Park, starting with tonight. So they've got the Western Bulldogs here after Carlton at the MCG, Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. Then they play, the Bulldogs here in round 20, the Saints here in round 21, the Gold Coast up at the Gold Coast round 22, and the West Coast Eagles here in round 23. So
it's a good lead-in.
There's no place like home.
No, and well, they've got a wonderful record here, but I don't think that this. Playing here does not serve you well for playing MCG. I coached on a very similar ground at Subiaco, and we were delighted always to, you like to play at home, but secretly the players love to get away and play in Melbourne, to play on the wider ground so they can use what we needed to know about playing at the MCG, because we didn't get a lot of MCG games. So to play here was a bit of a nuisance, quite frankly, because you might as well have been playing at Subiaco. So it was better to be playing on Moorabbin, early days, Waverley and the wider ground, so you can prepare yourself for the G.
I do wonder if they did finish first or second and they played an interstate team like Fremantle or Brisbane, whether they would ask the AFL to play their final down here. That'd be something they would more than likely ask, you would think, considering it happened a couple of years ago.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if they finish top 2, obviously they get the home final, and then you look at the other teams who are inside the top 4, potentially Brisbane or Freo. They probably have a fair case to have it here rather than the MCG, but it's always
Brisbane are imposters.
Contentious topic because the MCG wants the maximum amount of attendees to come along. So what do we have? 21,000 tonight, and that's a sold-out crowd. We've got the construction area down at the...
Probably won't give it to them, will they?
No, the freeway sort of end at Kardinia Park, and I think it's probably, until they have the capacity of 40,000, a pretty easy argument to say.
Yeah.
Even on a bad day, we'll probably get more than 30,000 at the MCG. What about for the Demons? Obviously, Geelong winners by 28 points. Melbourne probably will feel like they're still getting parts of their game back after losing 3 games on the trot, and you've spoken a lot about Max Gawn, but it was also... Geelong had a plan for Stephen May and for Jake Lever and the dominance of Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca, even though Petrarca probably spent more time forward tonight kicking 3 goals. But that hand injury to Clayton Oliver is going to be a bit of a worry for Simon Goodwin.
Just getting back to what you said about May and Lever, I'm not sure the plan was anything but just to occupy them, but... May's confidence left him after the 3. He went out and attacked. He did everything right, attacked the football 3 times, and the ball bounced over his head or bounced to his left or right, and he wasn't able to gather it. Then he had 1 poor kick, and I just about did him for the night. But you got to remember, he did play on Hawkins, who kicked 1 goal. So he has actually played a very good game. I don't think the Melbourne back on, and Petty was played very, very well on Cameron. So Jake Lee was still able to intercept. A fair number. I can't remember how many marks he actually took, Lever, but their backline wasn't the problem. Brayshaw was okay. It spent probably 50+% of the time in the Geelong 50-metre line, which is very, very rare, because there's another third of the ground that in the middle of the ground, which is, it's anyone's sort of game. But all I can keep remembering is just seeing the ball continually being flooded into the Geelong forward line, and eventually they were going to break through. As it turned out, it went out to come back in before they scored. So, Melbourne, I'd be worried if I was Simon Goodwin. They lost that 3, and then when they won the next couple of games, people thought, we're back. But on today's performance, Brown was the best first quarter I reckon Brown's played for a long time, but there on in, he looked slow, he cumbersome, once the ball hits the deck, it's all over Red Rover. Cozzy's just he looks fantastic, but does he do enough? probably not. But Fritsch was, he can easily be taken out of the game. I know he kicked 6 in the grand final, 6 or 7 in the grand final, but he's not big, and he's not overly big. He's not overly strong, and if you get a decent player playing on him, you can keep him out because he's not a great defensive player. They rely so heavily on the big three, and if you put Vine in there as the fourth Beatle, you've got. Maxi Gawn wears his heart on his sleeve. You've got Petrarca, who's a great player. Oliver's a great player, and Viney's a really good player. But if they're not on song, I just suspect that they become a pretty, you can knock them over.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 or 5 sides in the 8 that can knock them over on a good day. So the idea is to make sure that those 4 players don't have a big bearing on the game.
The common denominator, I think, for every good team playing at the moment, and any team who plays really well on the weekend, is pressure. And pressure across the whole board. Every player applying that pressure. Melbourne can get away with it against lesser teams if they don't quite bring it, but they have to bring it against good teams. And they brought it against Brisbane and just blew them away.
But Brisbane are like that though, Berkey. They're flaky.
Yeah, but the other games that they lost, it was a distinct lack of pressure. And tonight, in the pressure stakes, Geelong were far better than Melbourne. And they can't rely on just doing what they do against lesser teams of just pretty much using their skills and all being on the same page and, hitting the fridge coming out on the chest against good teams. And I think some of their lesser-known players try to play like that, and you just can't do it against good teams. So they then need to revert back to, okay, I'm going to absolutely rack up all the tackles, and all the players that didn't get a lot of the footy didn't get a lot of contested possessions, and they didn't get a lot of tackles either.
No.
And then when you're not contributing in either getting the footy or pressure, well then you're not going to beat good teams like Geelong.
The Demons got within 5 points in the final term after goals to Cosy Pickett and Christian Petrarca with his third, but then Geelong answered back with the last 3 of the match to win by 28 points in a game in which Tom Hawkins booted 1 goal, but Jeremy Cameron was well held, the Coleman medal leader, and it was Mitch Duncan with a couple and Gary Rowan alongside Cam Guthrie, who are the multiple goal kickers for the Cats. The votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year, if you're giving a hand pass, Mick, it might be you on the job, Berkey, tonight.
I'm okay.
Mick, you got it, Mick?
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Look, I think it's so easy to do tonight. That's why I've kept it. It was all Geelong. It's very hard to find anyone at Melbourne. So Guthrie to me, 28 possessions, 6 clearances, 14 contested possessions, and I think that nails it in itself. And a couple of goals. Duncan, 2 votes, 32 possessions, 2 goals of halfback, 680 metres, extraordinary 680 metres, but he's a long kick and he's a beautiful kick. And Paddy Dangerfield, 31, 9 clearances, 14 contested possessions, kicked 4 points, 700 metres. So you've got a midfielder getting 700 possessions, 700 metres, and that's extraordinary when the side itself probably only had about 6 and a bit thousand, if at 6,400. So he's gone 700 with, Duncan 680. You don't lose many games if you've got a midfield and your half-backs running it out like that.
3 to Dangerfield, 2 to Duncan, and 1 to Cam Guthrie in the ABC Footballer of the Year. So the Demons to take on Port Adelaide next week, then the Western Bulldogs and the Fremantle Dockers. Sydney and the Western Bulldogs tomorrow night. So looking forward to bringing you that game on ABC Sport with our commentary team. In fact, both of you are heading up there, aren't you?
Yeah, we are.
We are, yes.
Mick Malthouse and Nathan Burke to be joined by Brett Sprigg and Daniel Garb in commentary. Tom Harley's going to be a guest pre-game, so the Sydney CEO looking forward to...
Is he looking for the big job?
Is it the AFL CEO?
You might need to ask him that question, Mick.
Yeah, well, certainly will.
There's a couple of good questions to ask him.
Yeah.
Dusty, has he got any interest in coming to Sydney?
Yeah.
And Lance Franklin, what's he worth if he wants to go around again?
Yeah.
Not much. Not as much as you've been getting.
What he was over the 10-year contract? Probably not.
The old bell curve. When you get the other end, you've got to start coming down.
500?
Oh, yeah, you'd give him that. But
700?
No.
600?
No. You go 5 at the most.
Oh, yeah. And that is at the very most.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the old bell curve. You got to start giving Heaney and these blokes the bit their due deserve.
How many big years has he had in finals?
None.
He just does not play great finals footy. And I'm a hard taskmaster, but I believe you've got to perform on the biggest stage, which is finals football.
I reckon his best final was when Sydney lost.
That's no good.
No, I know. Hit 5 in a losing side, I think.
Yeah.
That was probably his best grand final.
I reckon you're right. I reckon you're spot on.
So looking forward to bringing you that tomorrow night. Sydney and the Western Bulldogs. The Swans need to find a way to bounce back, and the Bulldogs, well, their season might be just about done, but they're trying to stay in calculation. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Berkey, for making the trip down the highway. Thanks, Maisie, and to Tim Hodges. Thanks to Ari and to Stuart Hollywood Baker and to Aaron Bryans back in the studio. A special cheerio to Kelly Underwood and Corbin Middlemass, who have both unfortunately been under the weather. If you're tuning in, I hope you're both feeling better, and we've carried the candle as best we can in your honour. Geelong winners by 28 points at the Cattery, 12-19-91 to the Demons 9-9-63. In front of 25,501 fans, the Demons jump to second on the ladder, and the Cats jump above them on top of the AFL ladder. What a thrilling end we're going to have to the 2022 AFL season. We'll chat to you tomorrow on ABC Sport.
His first step onto the mystery road